Well, hello and welcome to this HOI4 grand game, everything for Unity. As you might see, it's not your usual casters, but it's semi-usual. I mean, we've done this once before. So
Twice for me.
Twice for you. Second time for me. I'm usually behind the camera. I am referred to as one of the OG technicians. So my name is Mossberg. I will be leading you through today's adventures and exploits, and I'm joined as last time, by Magnus.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to take this Hygge casting a bit out of the Danish-influenced part of the Scandinavian countries and into the more Swedish-dominated areas. We will have more cats than ever. We will have a larger casting crew. We will be going more in-depth with an expert in the studio.
Yeah, we have an expert in the studio. Last time we had the big man with the small table. Today we have still a big man, but with a more normal-sized table, and that is Andreas Eriksson. Welcome.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here.
It's lovely to have you here, and you are somewhat of an expert on the Spanish Civil War. I think you played Spain the most times, and I also think you're the one who's lost the Spanish Civil War the most times.
Well, yes, there are many ways to lose the Spanish Civil War, and I know all about all of them.
That's great, and we will get back to you.
So we will cover that a lot this game.
Yeah, it will be an extensive...
We know that people come here for the Spanish Civil War action.
Yeah,
Definitely.
after that they log off and just sleep.
But why are they tuning in today?
Well, they are tuning in today to what's this Everything for Unity game that we are having, which is... it's going to be a lovely game, I believe, or at least I hope it will be a lovely game. We had a quite interesting game last time.
Yeah.
You did not play that, but you watched it.
Yeah, thank God for streaming.
Yeah, I know.
But just to make this clear, if you're tuning in for the first time, we are going to be here all day with a historical Hearts of Iron game in a version of the Finest Bra mod. The Finest Bra mod. So we will be casting for at least 8 hours.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
8 or 9 hours. You're going to be with us today.
We're starting in game time in 1936, bringing you all the way through the build-up to the Second World War and all the way through the Second World War. The only thing we don't know is who will win.
Who will win? I do not know, and I have no real idea with. Sorry, I just have a small. Can you continue for a bit?
Absolutely. So as I said, we will be bringing you through and guiding you through the whole Second World War here. We have about 30 players playing on the two different teams, Axis and Allies. We will present them in a bit. For those of you who've been with us before, you'll recognize the setup. We are a community called Hygge Gaming, where we meet up and play these grand games every, about 6 weeks or so. We have some new players with us today. So it's familiar, but we're still hoping for a fast-paced game. We're hoping for some surprises, and we'll be taking you into what we think will be the most exciting parts about today's game. If you want to kind of join the action, you can comment on Twitch and YouTube.
Yep, you can comment on Twitch and YouTube just to hang with us today. So if you have any insights, any thoughts, any ideas, or anything like that,
just opinions.
Yeah, opinions in general.
Absolutely.
You can just write them in chat, and we will talk to you. We will try and answer everything.
And if you've never played a Paradox game before or a Hearts of Iron game, feel free to ask us questions. We've been playing this for a long time. We've been in the community for years. We've been playing with each other for years, and we love both Paradox Studios and Hearts of Iron Hearts of Iron specifically.
Yeah. But you know something that is really interesting about today's game, because
several things, but tell me.
Yeah, because it's not just who's winning today. That is interesting, because I actually took a deep dive into the statistics, because our central committee and Badger really keeps a tight grasp of statistics, who has won, who has been awarded medals, who has played the most games. I took a deep dive into that and looked back to the first game of January 2023. And there's been 24 games since this. This is the 25th.
Yeah.
Axis has won 12 games, and the Allies have won 12 games.
So we're 12 for 12.
12 for 12. So someone will pull ahead today.
Also, it's nice to see that even though the game changes, because you Hearts of Iron players out there know that we're constantly getting new DLCs, we're getting new updates, we're changing the mod around, but that it over time it seems to balance out.
Over time, it seems to balance out, but for 2025, we have played 4 games. This is the 5th. Allies have clinched 3 victories. Axis has 1 for 2025. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think we've had a few interesting changes over the last year. We had new focus tree for Germany, which was fun. I mean, it's fun to shake the game up.
Yeah,
but
and it was needed.
Yeah, it was needed. It was overdue. But it takes some getting used to. It's a huge focus tree. We'll be going in depth in the German focus tree later today, and it takes some getting used to. It shook up the balance for Germany, and especially in these kind of competitive games where you have, especially as Germany, that's so dominant in the Axis team. You really have to get Germany right, and I think that I lost one of those games as Germany, and I know that it's a tough challenge playing Germany right and snagging a win. So I think that might be one part of it. On the other hand, I think that
you have to say ready.
Oh, sorry.
I just got that.
Ready up.
Yeah, you have to ready.
Server mode, ready up.
Yep.
On the other hand, I think that the Soviets are in quite an interesting. They're in an interesting place as well, because once again, a very dominant country. I say, a bit simplistically, that this game comes down to the Eastern Front.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we have a very clear meta for the Soviet Union. We've seen that also over the last 6 months or so, that the Soviets can go either way. They can either be really dominant, hard to beat, or in a constant mode of crisis.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the same game.
Sometimes in the same game, but I think that's the fun part of the game. That earlier, before Not a Step Back, it was kind of one way to play the Soviets. You meat walled, you took heavy tanks or medium tanks. But for at least the last 4 games in 2025, we've seen a lot of different ways to play the Soviet Union, which I find really interesting, because both you and me, we like to suffer. We like to have a hard time, so we play a lot of the Soviet Union, which is really, really fun. Sorry, some cat-related accident.
Not in the studio. Not in the studio. But I think we can be open about this. Someone just typed in "cat stepped on power button." Sorry, and we were all booted from the game.
Yeah, but we also have this. Just so you know, if cats show up here, because we are at Magnus' place today. Really nice of you to have us down here, to come down to Östergötland. And Gryt. But you have some cats, and they had some litters of kitten recently. So how many cats are in this house as of now?
There are, as of this moment, 11 cats in the house. Some of them in the studio roaming around.
Yeah, so we will probably get cats in the frames, hopefully. And I think we'll beat Xnistan, Petey, and Victor's record for most cats in history.
Handily.
I mean, I can just actually pick one up. He was right over here. So there will be cats there, but there will also be a lot of action, a lot of good plays, some interesting plays. We have, from my point of view, a very interesting lineup for today. We're gonna go into that in a bit, but I'm just gonna see here a bit of what people have said. We have gotten from Queen Trap MCC in Twitch, who asked, new focus tree for Japan when? I don't know when, but I would agree with you that a new focus tree for Japan is well overdue.
And I think that's the consensus opinion in the Hearts of Iron community, that Japan should be up for a new focus tree.
Yeah, they should. They should get a rebooted focus tree. Germany got there now. Italy has gotten one. The Soviet Union has gotten one. The Brits and French have gotten theirs.
Maybe kind of like a Pacific focus, because I wouldn't mind a new focus tree for the US either.
The US, Siam, Manchu, Japan, Australia.
But we should also be clear that since we're playing a mod, the focus tree differs somewhat from vanilla.
But yeah, the mod has a different one. But I have a question from the Base Racer, and you know these cats better, because He asks, what are the cat's opinions on concentrated versus dispersed?
Well, the cat's very heavily focused on dispersed.
Yeah.
We haven't seen all 11 cats at the same time for about 24 hours now.
Yeah.
So dispersed would be the cat thing. I don't know if you've heard of the saying herding cats. I am currently herding cats, and I'd say that it's it's. I get where the saying comes from.
Yeah, you have a cat farm, basically. Basically a cat farm.
It's hard times in Swedish agriculture.
Yep. Swedish agriculture, we need more money from the EU. Otherwise, they turn to cat
Let's
farming.
not get political here.
Not political. But you also got this from Ugis in the YouTube chat. He really likes your authentic vest.
I like you, Ugis.
Yep. Yeah, we all like Ugis. Ugis is an amazing person. But do you have any predictions for today? Having looked at the teams, having looked a bit on the strategies and the builds and stuff.
I was about to say that I was hesitant to make too many definitive calls early in the day, but to hell with it. I like making definitive calls. No one remembers a chicken, right?
Nope.
But I think that we might be in for a very tight game. I think that we have an interesting Soviet Union. Badger, who's main chair on the Soviet Union, hasn't played the Eastern Front for a while. A very good player. Very, he's usually very prepared. He usually has a very thought out plan. But he is a strong Navy player. He's played the UK many times.
Yep.
He likes his Navy builds. I think we might be on the lookout for not a Navy build for the Soviets, but him just not being able to resist just investing a little bit of IC in his Navy.
From my point of view, I would be disappointed if he didn't.
We will, which is very rare and unusual, we will be keeping half an eye on kind of like the Baltic Sea to see if there are any Soviet naval invasion plans.
Yep, we'll see.
But a very decent player, but not that experienced, especially recently on the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union is always such a challenge.
Yep.
But he has some very good co-ops with him. Rosen on Mongolia is one of my favorite players. I mean, I like all of the guys that in the community, but I think that usually Rosen plays a fun game, well worth watching, and we'll be coming back to that in the stream. So I think that they're...
Yeah, but they are a strong lineup, I feel, of... I mean, Calle, who is the second or third chair on the Soviet, he is also a really strong player. And also we have Petey, who usually sits here, but he's now on the Eastern Front. So we kind of swapped it around. We left the Eastern Front and went to the studio, and Petey went.
Petey's also such a fun player.
Oh, he's such a fun player.
Not that good in the statistics when we watched this.
No.
Not to be harsh on you, Petey and Algot, but you should be worried if you have a Turin brother.
You should. You should. But they have Rosen also, who has really good statistics.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that... What I think with the Soviet Union is that we're going to see a good team, but playing the Soviet isn't just about, there are different ways of being good in a Hearts of Iron game.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's been a while since we saw these guys manage a defensive infantry line and really pulling that off well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really fun to see the Eastern Front. On the other hand, I think my guess is that the Allies will have an advantage in the Navy game. We have Ivan on Japan, who's also such an interesting player.
Oh, yeah, I mean, when you talked about Badger being the Navy guy, I mean, up there, probably on par with Badger, is Ivan Stationary, who is such a great Navy player. He is, and he always has this... I mean, I think he is the one who does the most try runs, who has the most... He is the most prepared when it comes to get into the games. And we also saw that in the planning that we took part in.
Yeah, but then we have this old Clausewitz quote that no plan survives contact with the enemy.
No, but I mean, it's
and I
nice
do
to
think,
have a plan.
Yeah, but I do think that the psychology of this is really interesting, actually, because now we have a community where most of the players, they have played a lot of games against each other. They kind of know the mindset of the players they're engaging with today on the other side. And I do think that the Navy game might come down to, okay, so which team reads the other team the best?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I would have to guess, I'd guess that the Allies might, because they've seen Ivan. They've seen Ivan for a few games now. He's played Navy heavy nations. They think that they've got Ivan's meta down, and they will try to counter that.
Have you picked so your studio watching? Yeah. Yeah.
And I do think that might be a very deciding factor. And we'll be coming back to that. And I think that Andreas will look into this during the day. The Navy builds, seeing, okay, which way do we go and who, counter that. Because the Navy game comes down to, okay, so what build do you go for? And then how do you handle it? And I think that the game might come down to just a minute or two of lacking concentration on either team. Someone going into sea zone where the other side has air cover. It's going to be really fun to watch out with that, and we'll try to catch that action.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why we haven't presented the teams yet, or why we haven't looked at this, because for the last minutes we have done the thing that you always have to do in a Paradox multiplayer game. We have been lobby simulating.
Yeah.
But the game is currently going up, so the game is coming here. But I think you're onto something important here, because it's going to be a long game, and concentration will lapse somewhere along the way, and you will lose focus. And the question here is, who has the most of focus or the minimum of mistakes? Because mistakes will be made by all teams. I've never seen a game where someone has played it 100% according to plan perfectly.
No, we were quite harsh on the Eastern Front play last time we cast it. Sorry if someone thought we were too mean.
Yeah, we were quite hard towards the Canadian and South African player last time also, but apologies for that. We'll try to do better. But then again, you do know, you have your timestamps. You do know when you have to be ready. And one thing we have here, we have an in-house rule. We have very many in-house rules. So we do know when certain things are going to kick off. For example, we know when the China War at the latest will start. We know that it will be 1939 World War. The Allies cannot deny Sudetenland and push for an early war. Germany cannot push for an early war. We know we have the kind of in-between time frames when Barbarossa has to start. We know when Japan will join the war. They can join early, middle, or late. So we have some timestamps here, which I think drives the game in a certain pace.
Yeah.
Which is a good pace.
Close to historical.
Close to historical.
So we will be kicking off with the Spanish Civil War in about half a year in game. We're starting at 1st of January 36, then the Sino-Japanese War, and then Danzig War, the start of the Second World War in Europe in 1939.
Yeah.
And there are also points where we diverge from a strictly historical timeline. For example, the Japanese will be annexing China.
Yeah, they will. They will be. Probably will be annexing all of it and not giving anything to Manchukuo, I think.
The interesting thing for us in game is not whether China will manage to withstand the Japanese. It's how long does it take for the Japanese to conquer China?
Yeah.
And how many men, how much equipment do they lose doing it?
Yeah. And also how many Chinese do they kill? How much equipment do they get out of it? Because the Sino-Japanese War is really important for Japan to get a stockpile of this infantry equipment, this kind of low-level equipment, but they get droves of it when they take China, which is really, really important. We also have this, that Spain will not become an allies member, or the Republicans, they can win, but they can't win.
You'll have to explain that a bit more.
Yeah, I know, but I'm thinking that I might not be the perfect guy to explain Spain.
We do have a Spanish Civil War expert.
We have a Spanish Civil War expert, so I'm thinking that I'm gonna touch over to Andreas to maybe explain a bit of what I mean when I say Spain can lose, but they can't lose.
Yeah. So explain the Civil War for us.
Yeah.
So the Spanish Civil War happens early on in the game, and it is essentially Spain splitting in half between the Republic, the democratic side, and the Francoists, the guys we generally play in this game. And the way we have set up the rules is that if the Francoist wins, they essentially side with the Axis, And if the Francoists lose, they also win and side with the Axis through essentially console commands. But in that case, the allies, or the Comintern in this case, gets a bunch of bonuses in terms of factories. So Spanish Civil War can only be won in practice by the Axis, but by beating them, the allies, by joining into the Civil War and beating them, they can still set back the Axis a bunch, gain a few bonuses, and more important than that, the longer the Civil War drags out, the harder it is for the Spain player to actually boom, to go get good, strong economy, build up properly, and become a powerhouse later in the game. So just by dragging the war out, the allies can set back the Axis quite hard and turn Spain, which could be a major player, into essentially a kind of weak minor. So this is what the war is about. And how does this happen? Well, when the country is split, the Spain player takes the Francoist side. He gets a really weak army. The same happens for the Republicans. So there are two really bad armies in Spain. And then the players around are allowed to send the volunteer division and micro them inside of Spain. And this is where the real punch in the war is happening. Mostly about 6 to 10-ish volunteer divisions show up on either side, and they're fighting against each other. And sometimes they try to surround and wipe out the Spanish army. So that is essentially what is happening in the Spanish War. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you for that brief run through. We will come back to the Spanish Civil War when the action when the action kicks off. I think it's really interesting, and it's kind of the same thing with France. Actually, we have the same mechanic that France can hold up to a point, but then they would be consult annexed, but that would give also a bunch of factories to the player there. So that can also set back the access. But specifically, we also have this grand thing, I think. The longer France holds, for example, if Germany goes for an early barb in their planning, the longer France holds, the harder North Africa will become, and that might incline them to postpone barb. We've seen that in the latest two games. And the more time the Soviet Union gets, the better. Yeah, because you want time as the Soviets. Because, you know, there's going to be a bit of instability in the Soviet Union. Someone is going to get a bit paranoid and people will start disappearing. And that doesn't affect the Red Army that well, actually.
No, it's not. It's not. No. It's not the situation you would want. It's not the optimal situation. And we will be returning to the dance of the marshals mechanic and the Soviet focus tree in a little bit. But I think you wanted to mention a few words about patrons.
Yeah, I wanted to mention a few words about patrons. We have a Patreon called Hygge Gaming, where you can become a member in that, where we have a bunch of guides, save games from all our multiplayer games, and we actually do have this. We have a free trial for 7 days, and we have some DLCs. We have the Trial of Allegiance DLC. So the first 6 people today that will sign up to become a free patron, it's a trial membership for 7 days. You get access to everything, but the first 6 of you that sign up will get Trial of Allegiance as a free DLC. And if you already have Trial of Allegiance, you might think that, oh, why should I bother then? Well, maybe you know someone who doesn't have Trial of Allegiance and you can give it to them. So sign up for a free trial membership for 7 days, and the first 6 of you will get a DLC, Trial of Allegiance. Hygge Gaming at Patreon, and you will get, for those 7 days, you will get access to everything. You will get the guides that Boppes and Badger are making over at our YouTube channel. You will get access to the save games, some behind the scenes things. It's really a value pack to not pay anything for 7 days and get all that access. And also, if you're one of the first 6 today, you'll get a free DLC. I mean, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
It's a really good deal. But game is now up and running.
Yeah, and we can see that people, because obviously there's a bit of a setup to start with. You don't want to, fight the war with the divisions that the AI has put up or that the game gives you to begin with. There's a lot of set up to just getting your focus tree running, getting your research running.
Yeah.
And we can see here that the Soviet Union has started researching. They're leaving a spot here just to build up some research. But they've also invested some time into managing their divisions.
Oh, okay.
So we can see that Johannes Badger he's going for a garrison build.
Oh, yeah.
We're seeing these garrison divisions, but they have found time to rename some of the divisions. We can, for example, see Badger, the great leader here, and my favorite so far. Kudos to these guys. Eternal Glory of the Studio.
Oh, that one can't die. It cannot die.
Nope. We
Badger,
will.
I'm looking at you. That one can't die.
Console command. Make sure
Yeah.
this doesn't die.
No.
We will be feeding them information throughout the day to thank them for this.
Yeah. This is how you get the studio on your side.
Yeah.
Eternally.
1st of January 36. We're already rooting for the Soviets.
Yeah, we're rooting for the Soviets. No, we are impartial. We're completely impartial.
I was impartial.
You were impartial.
Yeah.
And from Brutsnek I'm sorry if I just butchered your name, but he says on Twitch that stream looks so nice. Cheers to tech guy, fellow Värmlänning, and I see that Lucas is just lighting up over there, trying to work so much harder. That's also a way to get Lucas to try and do more fun and innovative things in the stream. Just feed his Värmland ego, because that always works.
And for those of you who aren't Swedish, this is the region of Sweden where they're from.
Yeah, it's a region. And actually, do you know how you know that someone is from that region of Sweden?
You'll know it when they kick you in the ribs with their wooden clogs.
Actually, they
happened to me once.
Yeah, actually, they will tell you in the first 30 seconds of meeting them.
They also have a really specific accent, so it's not like they can hide it.
No.
It's like me getting someone from Alabama, and they're like, you're not going to go, oh, you're from Glasgow.
Oh, well, maybe. Immigrants. No, but thank you so much, Bruce. We hope that this will keep going for the rest of the day with this nice stream. Actually, last time we casted, me and Magnus together, with Lucas, we were in the center of Stockholm in Gamla stan. We had some slight difficulties with the internet and firewalls. So we moved the whole studio out to the countryside in Östergötland, to a small place outside of Valdemarsvik. And so far, the internet connection is a lot better here.
Yeah, it's also a thing with Sweden. If you want good internet connection, go to the middle of nowhere. Just make sure that they actually dug their broadband.
Yeah, actually, that's and it seems that it also seems that just a small hint here that we are starting to be ready to roll this game. I see that you are looking at the UK, and I think this could be a good time to actually look at the Allied majors here to see the team lineup for this. We have some really good players.
Should just say we are rolling now.
We are rolling now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. For the Allied majors, we have Ian, who is playing the UK, and he's a quite a new player to the community, but he's also a great player, and he is probably the player who has been up the earliest today to join this game because he lives in Canada. So he usually, when we complain that, oh, we have to start at 10, I think the time for him is 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. But he will predominantly focus on air and navy, he said, because he's playing the United Kingdom alone today. But he is a really strong navy and air guy also. And also I really like Ian here. He's a really easy player to play with. He is also joined on France by Remmefors, who actually does this mod, updates it and keeps it running. He's a real asset to the community, and also I'm gonna say this about every guy here, but also a great guy. But he's also a kind of an infantry focused man, so I think we're gonna see an inf focused France in this game and this playthrough. And then we have the chaotic energy joining each other with Xnistan and Francis on US as US1 and US2. I mean, you will never have a dull time when you have Xnistan or Francis on your team, or when you're playing as with one of them, either as a second seat or as a first seat. But having
Francis will have had a heart attack or an aneurysm now since we got the game rolling half an hour after.
Francis,
time.
all cred to him. He is the one who always makes sure or tries to make sure that everyone should be on time, which is kudos to him because it shouldn't be that hard. But Francis and Xnistan, they are also two very unpredictable players. You never know what happens.
So Xnistan, just to try and explain this, he can play a perfect game, and then he might miss an invasion of the European mainland because he was busy conquering Iceland in a brilliant plan.
Yeah, because he got bored.
No, not bored. He's not bored necessarily. He just thinks outside the box. But the problem with thinking outside the box is that you might leave the box and forget that
the box exists.
And most of the things you need to care about happens inside the box.
Yeah, you have to. Sometimes you have to put Xnistan back into the box. But then again, I kind of like to have him roaming free. I mean, he did this when he played Romania. He did the Romanian carrier, just to have a floating airfield in the middle of the Black Sea, which I found hilarious. But I think as a lineup of this, these are 4 really strong players. I like them.
I do think so. And Ian's quite a new addition to the community, but I'd say he's one of the top tier players within it.
Yeah.
Not that we want everyone to be top tier. We like the range, you guys.
We like the range. I'm not a top tier player. That's why I'm here. But we do like to have fun. But that is a really, really good Allied Majors team. But opposing them, we have the Axis Majors, or at least the...
Can I just say that I will come back to this again and again, but I think the big thing for Xnistan and Francis on the US is trying to kind of read the mind of Ivan on Japan. And I think they're going to be spying hard on Japan, trying to figure out, okay, have we read him right? Is he going the direction we think? Can we counter his navy?
Yeah, what navy is he building? Yeah, so that's going to be a huge thing. But looking at the Axis Majors, we have also quite a recent addition as a player. We have, as Germany 1, we have Gidon, who is joined by Thomas as Germany 2. Thomas has played second seat Germany quite some times. He's a good, solid, dependable player. And Gidon is quite a new addition. I think he joined for this year. He played France last time and did a wonderful France, a wonderful hold of France, together with some Polish spies and British infantry troops. But this is going to be a really interesting to see because, as we've said, the focus tree for Germany, it's reworked. It's a good focus tree, but there are a lot of important decisions that can make it or break it for Germany. Either do you go autarky or do you go left-hand side on the finances? Autarky, you get some really nice buffs, but it is the economy of conquest. So before you get down to that autarky, if you stall somewhere along the line, consumer goods will rack up and you will not be able to produce anything.
No, so it's dependent on conquering and conquering in time.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you go the prioritized economic growth path, less payoff, but a safer path.
The boring safe path.
Yeah. And I would say that, to my understanding, the bonus really kicks off once you're in the war. So up until 39, you might not have that much. I mean, you don't get the massive payoffs from the 4-year plan. But once you start conquering, this really balloons Germany.
It does. Germany can really swell in this. But you also have the... I'm also interested to see how are they... Thank you for going down there. With the advisors, who are they going to prioritize? Will they go for Bormann or is it Rommel that they will go for? Himmler, Speer, Göring? Who will they go for in this? Because this is also quite important. And you can get some really nice bonuses and some really nice buffs depending on who you choose and your playstyle. But I think we're going to see something we've said a lot of times and that Petey and Victor have said a lot of times on the stream is Germany cannot do it all. No. Germany can't do Navy, Air Force, and tanks. They need to prioritize. And I think Gidon will go for air and tanks.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
The intel we have is that he's asked the Axis miners in Europe to go heavily into infantry as a special forces, kind of fill up the front lines, and we'll see the hard-hitting tip of the spear offensive units. That will be German tank units and armored divisions. And basically, there's only Germany can make sure that the Axis team has an advantage in the air. And air supremacy, or at least be able to contest air and make sure that you are competitive in the airspace. That's so important to winning offensives and winning the war.
Yeah, especially when you have the UK and the US on the other side, especially the US that can just pump out equipment when they get going. But
I would be really interested to see a no-air Germany, if that is even viable.
I don't think it's viable.
Me neither.
But Gidon and Thomas, they are joined in Europe by Ugis, who plays Italy. Ugis is a strong player, one of our Baltic neighbors. And Italy have some different routes to go, depending on how they will want to do the navy. He's already queued up a bunch of heavy ships and some cruisers.
I think that's basically what he starts with here.
Okay,
so he'll pump out the ships already in production, and I would think that he's going to rebuild them.
Yeah, but he's in Ethiopia now, which he kind of needs to finish up before Spain kicks off. Yeah, but that looks like a slow and methodic Ethiopian war from Ugis.
We have an encirclement here. That's not going to matter. Ethiopia is just an AI. Basically, this is something you just have to get done.
Yeah, and he's going to get that done. But I think it's an interesting lineup in Europe with Gidon, Thomas, and Ugis. Thomas and Ugis are experienced players in our community. Gidon is an experienced player, quite new to our community, but I think they will have a lot of fun and a lot of shenanigans.
Could we stop just briefly on...
We could stop
on the Navy side in the Mediterranean and Europe, because we see that we can't really tell this early on which path Italy will go. But if we tab into the UK, we can see that Ian has lined up a bunch of carriers.
Oh, that's a lot.
And a lot of cruisers.
Yeah.
And he's starting to get destroyers built. These might be the ones he's lined up from the beginning. Let's see here.
Yeah, might be. So it's going to be an interesting battle in the Mediterranean. The key here for the Axis is to take North Africa without that many losses and push the Allies out, because then the Allies have to spend time on retaking North Africa, and you secure the Italian mainland and Europe.
And correct me if I'm wrong, and I might get Andreas if you're ready, because we see that the UK is going a lot for carriers. That might be to counter a battleship built from Italy, right?
Yeah, that would be my understanding as deep as I am for the Navy. I'm more of an air guy than Navy, but that would be my understanding, historical correct. And I know it might also be in a way to not only counter the Italian fleet, but also counter the Japanese fleet.
Yes, because that brings us over to Japan.
To Stationary even, and Adam, who plays Japan. And I've seen, sorry here, this is my fault. Stationary should of course be Japan 1 and Adam Japan 2, not the other way around. That's my mistake. But if this is the only mistake I make today, I'm happy with that. But Stationary, he has played a lot of Japan. I think he is our most experienced Japan player. He is a really experienced Navy guy, and he has good plans. And he's done the China War a lot of times. He knows what's expected. He knows that when you can rush it, how you can't rush it. So I think for the Sino-Japanese War, we will see a slow push from the north and a naval invasion in the south to try to cut China in half.
Yeah, we should also say, for those of you who haven't played this specific mod, that you might be thinking, why are you talking about the war in China? That's just a pushover. China is just an AI nation. This is just barely a hurdle. But in the mod, they have a mechanic where they get waves of mobilization, which means that it becomes a challenge because they just have so many divisions.
They have so many divisions.
Sorry, I think I spoke over. I think our expert wants in here.
Yeah, I think Andreas once said.
Or?
Well, okay, never mind. I can go in, but I've been looking around a little bit, and I've been actually looking for the Spanish Civil War.
Okay, cool.
So a quick war update. The Spanish Civil War is not that far off. And you can tell a large difference on how the countries who intend to participate are prepping. So currently the Japans have zero mountaineers,
Zero?
but I presume they're building them. Whilst the French have the strongest mountaineers with a bunch of artillery. The Germans actually have weaker mountaineers, and they have a short time just to build them up to actually stand against the French. And the Soviets have a fairly large mountaineer division, but they do lack artillery currently. So if they want to have fully trained mountaineers showing up, they're going to have a hard time actually getting both fully trained and fully equipped.
Oh, that is interesting. And this is something we know about the Soviets. They tend to have a lack of equipment from the start. Something that would be interesting, I don't think that they will matter that much, but it would be nice, and I'm going to send this over to Andreas to have a look at. What is Bulgaria sending for the Spanish Civil War? What division can we get from Bulgaria? Because that says something about which way are they going. Are they going tanks or mechanized or rocket arty, depending on if they send horses or infantry or whatever. So I'm going to pass that along to Andreas to have a look at, and when he has it, we'll come back to him. No, but really strong Axis major players. I think the majors are evenly matched from the Allied and the Axis.
Do we have anything more we want to say about Japanese strategy in this game?
Well, I mean, there's always a lot to say about Japanese strategy in these games, especially when it's stationary, taking the lead on it. But they have a bit of this. They will start by taking Singapore and the Dutch East Indies, knock them out early from the war, and let Siam push in from there.
Which is important not just for resources, but also for the mechanics of this mod, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. They have certain mechanics that they will get bonuses from taking islands and taking territory, and it's also important.
And the allies will get debuffs. In Europe, I think.
Yeah.
And for example, for Australia, it's really a disaster if they lose Singapore, the Dutch East Indies. As long as the Allies hold those, the Australians have crazy buffs on home defense.
Yeah, they do. And they also have this kind of important thing. Japan needs to take Singapore and then either Australia and Raj, I think, capping them before they can declare war on the Soviet Union. Yeah. So that's also important for the Allies to keep hold of these islands, especially because the Japan players, they will start when they declare war with an amazing feature. If you're Japanese, it's terrible and terrifying if you're the Allied players. Tora, which is they are nigh on unstoppable, I would say, for the first 6 months, I think, of the war. So a lot of island hopping will probably happen there. But they also plan to launch on Australia and New Zealand to get that sweet industry, as Ivan said.
I might just say one more thing before we hop over to Europe, just on that point, because depending on when they win the war in China, as you can see here, they can go either for an early war, mid or a late war, and that gives them, the longer they wait, basically, the more bonuses they have on attack, on military production, so on and so forth. So they can kind of mix these paths. But if they go for an early war, they will have less industry. If they go for a late war, they will have more. They will have attack bonuses. They will have damaged allied defenses. And we do think, our intel says that they're going for a mid to late war, so they will be joining somewhere in the latter half of 1941, which I think is quite a balanced path, to be honest.
I think it's the balanced path, because you also have to remember with this, the longer the Japanese stay out of the war, the longer it takes for the US to join and get this sweet industrial capacity up and running.
Basically, the big thing that speaks for another war is if you have a chance of knocking the Raj out early.
We saw it a couple of games ago in 2025 when Pontus played Italy and hid troops in Ethiopia, and they smashed the Allied forces in Africa and had them on the run. I think, if I remember correctly, at one point the Raj was down to 6 troops, all of them in Africa. But the Japanese player at that time had gotten a bloody nose in China with some troops encircled, and he had a plan to go late war. He didn't diverge from the plan because the rest of the Axis didn't tell him how few troops the Raj had.
And the Allies managed to save
Yeah,
the situation in India.
yeah, rallied by Badger, who played France. They stopped it. But that is something that communications is also key here. You need to communicate with each other, especially from a Europe to an Asia path to say it, or common turn to the rest of the allies, that you need to speak. What do we need? What do we need help with? Because you can't really come in and say, oh, we are now losing. They are outside. Stalingrad, Moscow has fallen. Leningrad has fallen. We are about to cap. Could we get some help, please? That needs to come 6 months earlier. We are going to break, or so forth. Or telling a Japanese player that
we are smashing through in Northern Africa. You have a chance of getting India.
Yeah.
Let's crush them from both sides.
Yeah, crush them from both sides. You can take out Australia and India, and they knock out then 2 or 3 players, and that is in this 4 players for the allies, which is huge. Really, really huge. It seems also that we have some problems. That's why the game is paused. Seems to be an AI on Siam, but it's a bug. They're trying to sort it out, so we're a bit paused. So I think then we might go back to Andreas, who's probably looked at the player who can decide all of the civil war, Bulgaria.
Well, if that is the case, then the Axis are in big trouble. Currently, Bulgaria, Romania, and Hungary are essentially sticking around with either one single division training or their starting army. So Bulgaria currently only has normal infantry division and some weird mix of cavalry and motorized with no specialization whatsoever. And the Spanish Civil War should be around in about 20 days.
Yeah.
So this is actually looking dire in general. I also had a further look at France and Soviet and Germany, and I was wrong. It was actually Soviet who had a few artillery divisions and France who lacked them in their mountaineers. But essentially, Soviet is ready. They have a Spanish Civil War army, as does France and as does Germany. These are currently the only countries I can see who fields mountaineers. So if Japan is going to show up, and if Romania or Bulgaria are going to show up, they're going to have to show up with regular infantry, or they're going to have to really force train their troops. 20 days.
20 days until the first war of the day. Also, we have a correction here towards you, Magnus, from Brutsnake. Värmlänningar are not the Alabamans of Sweden. They are the West Virginians of Sweden, apparently.
Or is it the other way around?
Don't know. I'm not getting in the middle of this. Östergötland and Värmland can have their beef on their own. But it's just a nice correction. But thank you for that, Andreas.
I'm getting waving fingers from our technician here.
Yeah, I know.
He's in the cock chair off to the right.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I have to say we have Night Round 285 here who turns into most of the game saying, hey, best of luck with the game today, guys. Hopefully we'll catch the rest of the game from Danzig onwards. Love the setup. Great production as always. Thank you, Night Round, and so happy to have you here as always. And we will see you around Danzig or War then, I hope, to have some more discussions here. But we have this. We talked a bit about Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria. So maybe we should take a look at the Axis miners, Yuri Axis miners for this.
Get that in before the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah, which hopefully we are able to do. We have on that we have Simon, who plays Finland. We have Seth, who plays Spain. We have Jontei, who plays Hungary. We have Sarge on Romania, and on Bulgaria we have Anton. And this is a strong minor setup, I think. Jontei has played a lot of games with us, and so has Sarge. Also, interesting to see here, since I like statistics, I mean, Sarge he has a 59% win rate when he plays.
Which is very high for people who've been with us from basically the start of the community.
Yeah, I mean, he has played 29 games. He has 17 victories. That's 59%. So Sarge, a strong player, a well-rounded player, and usually it ends up on the winning team. I don't know if that says something for the calling it of the game, but he has really good statistics.
I love if you call it based on who plays Romania.
Yeah. But always, Romania can make it or break it on these.
But the Romanians are doing what most countries are doing right now. They're trying to expand, they're kind of like bulk up their industry, and we can see here that they are going on expanding oil production. One of the really important things that Romania can do to have an impact on this game, quite similar to a country like Brazil.
Yeah.
They're sitting on a bunch of resources that's important for the team that basically only they can fix. The Germans will be building a lot of refineries, but Romania is the only large source of oil on the European mainland.
Yeah.
Which means that they will be bulking up their oil production as much as possible.
We also have Spanish Civil War in about a day. I just got from Andreas, but I'm just gonna pull through these guys. Anton, really strong, solid player on Bulgaria. Bulgaria can go either the mechanized, motorized way or tanks. But depending on, as Gidon has asked for infantry, I think we will see some rocket arty from Bulgaria. Simon Trana, who will play Finland. He is a good, experienced player, also a lovely guy to have with you. But you have a but here.
Yeah. He didn't know he was going to play Finland yesterday.
No, he came in to Finland quite late on. But I think it would be really interesting to see Badger's build going up against Finland in the Winter War, because now we have nationalist Spain has declared war on Spain. So the Spanish Civil War has broken out. It's paused because they have to fix certain things. Spain has to align their troops and so forth. But it's going to be interesting to see how Finland matches up to Badger's build. We will get into the Soviet Union build a bit later. And then Jontei on Hungary, he is a really experienced player. And we have seen an infantry heavy Hungary before. Lolse played it once and it was devastating. It was really, really good and it wreaked havoc on the Eastern Front. But then we have Seth, who plays Spain. And he's quite new to the community. But he has brought in, just as Gidon and a lot of the new players, they brought in a lot of panache, a lot of flair, and a lot of new ways of thinking that we needed in the community. It's always good to get new players in that can really shake things around a bit. But it's interesting to see him on Spain, and having such a good player on Spain, I think we won't see a volunteer Spain after the Civil War.
No, because that's pretty much the interesting thing about Spain is not the Spanish Civil War. No. There's something that happens, people get a bit of combat experience, but it's not mainly, as Andreas said, it's maybe not mainly decided by the Spanish player, but by the volunteers on each side and how much they contribute, if they have good divisions coming into Spain, how they handle them. The interesting happens afterwards, and as we said, once again, we will have a Spanish player no matter who wins. I mean, we will have a nationalist Spain.
Yeah.
The question is, how strong will it be, and how many bonuses will the Soviets get?
Yeah.
But
and
after that, the interesting thing happens, because then you have quite a long period for the Spanish player of just rebuilding his country, and then he has two choices. He can go on a volunteer path.
Yep.
Which means he stays neutral, he's out of the game, but he can send volunteer divisions to the Axis.
Yep.
And that usually means that you go for a small number of divisions, very heavy elite divisions, often armored.
Yeah, elite tanks for the Eastern Front.
Yeah. Or you actually join the war, which gives you a lot more possibilities. The Spanish Navy can join the war and wreak a bit of raiding havoc in the Atlantic. They can be an active part in North Africa, snag a bit of French territory, go fighting in West Africa. But it also opens you up to vulnerabilities.
It's a lot of coast on Spain.
It's a lot of ports to defend.
It's a lot,
and it's horrid terrain to fight in.
But
when I play allies, I hope for a Spain that joins the war, because it opens up more opportunities for an invasion of the European mainland. So,
and here we see
pros and cons.
The Spanish Civil War has started up here, and I think that Andreas, your thoughts on it so far, the opening salvos. I don't think the volunteers have arrived yet, but it seems like the Spanish player is really pushing hard for Madrid, as you should, I expect.
Correct. So the Spanish player positioned the troops 2 tiles above Madrid and from the side of Toledo, and they are pushing in on both sides. Early on, it seemed like they were going to have a hard time, but they are getting green flags, and the Army of Africa, the strongest infantry Spain can muster, is coming. They are almost arriving right now. So they might actually be able to push into Madrid before volunteers can get to the front line.
The Soviets, or all the volunteers, we have Soviet volunteers coming in. We will be seeing French volunteers, but there's a bit of a lag there just due to how the tech tree works for France.
Yeah, they have to take a decision.
And in about 2 days, the volunteers will arrive, but they are not at the front yet. We have volunteers coming in to fascist Spain from Germany, Italy, and Japan. So no Bulgarians, no Balkan Bros in the Spanish Civil War.
Not
at least not starting off.
Yep.
And we can see that they are attacking Madrid, and I don't think that the Soviets will get there in time.
No, and I also know that the Japanese troops, the Spanish player asked them to secure Zaragoza for him and push from there, which Andreas here, just to spitball it with you and trying not to get that really large fly in my face. Andreas, securing Zaragoza, it's also really important. Taking Madrid, yes, you get the supply hub, you get the capital, but Zaragoza is also quite important, or what do you say in that?
I would actually say no. It is an important victory point. You need it for one of your focuses, but you don't need it urgently. However, this Spanish player seems to want to go really fast, and in that case, I think they also want to rush down the focus tree in that direction. So perhaps yes. We can also see that they have taken Madrid quickly. They have gotten us around. The volunteers have showed up just now arriving at the front, but they might actually be too late.
Yeah. It doesn't look like they will be able to push back onto Madrid here. It seems to be firmly in the fascists' hands. But also, Andreas, here, there is the time limit. I mean, the Allies, they will probably lose this war, but what is a good time frame to kind of hold the Axis? When can you say we were successful in Spain? Of course, you're the most successful when you cap them or when you win it, but otherwise holding them until December or into 37, when would you say the Allies can say this was a successful Spanish Civil War?
Well, that's a tricky one. In general, if you can just get a couple of months into 1937, you're doing okay. If you can get all the way to the summer, you're doing good. If you can get further than that, you're doing excellent. And at that point, you probably actually have won. And we might be looking to console command force you to lose.
Yeah.
Furthermore, I want to add two things. First of all, in honor of the war, I brought a Spanish beer. Furthermore, the Italian mountaineers have arrived, and they're actually the strongest mountaineers on the field. They have managed to go full stack, 30 with, and they have managed to stack it with all the artillery needed, and they have training from Ethiopia.
Oh.
So even though volunteers are arriving on both sides, I think the Italians are actually going to boot the rest of them out.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yes, that early war experience in Ethiopia, quite important to have. Yeah, they also have a mix of pack artillery and regular artillery, as I saw there. But then again, holding them up until the summer, as it looks now, I don't think so. I think this will be a quite...
Yeah, because we're seeing quite a good strategy from the exterior. If we just zoom in a bit, this is all the fighting we're going to get for hours. So let's look a bit at it. We have the Soviets tried to rush towards Madrid to defend it. They arrived too late. I think they pushed to see if they could get us around. The Italians met them up, and as we can see here, they're splitting up quite evenly matched. But they can have a slog here. South of that, you had the Germans. And in the north, up around Zaragoza, that's where you get the Japanese. So this could, in a while, and I think that was smart from Seth, because in a while, this could be a very dangerous situation for the Soviets. You get stuck into battles around Madrid. When they break through this front up north, things can go fast, and that's where you can lose. But just as I said that, the French have rolled up.
The French have rolled up.
So we're seeing French against Japanese troops up north. We're seeing stalemate around Madrid, and Seth just nagging away at promises south of Madrid here.
Because we also have this important thing to say. You are allowed to retreat with your volunteer divisions. They have to be standing in a port and not fighting, I think. So if the road up to Barcelona gets cut, then you have Valencia, you have Almeida and all that. But zooming out a bit here, there's a lot. It can go quickly if the Japanese start to snake down and take these, and then you could easily lose your volunteer divisions as the Soviets. The French are still on the right side. They have Barcelona that they can retreat from. But I would hate to see glory for the Studio division getting lost here in Spain.
Yeah, we should be a bit, because they are attacking now North Madrid. I think at this point, if I were the Soviet player, I would just, I would get on my back foot. I would just say, okay, we're not going to be winning this war, but we can prolong it for a long time.
And the mountains around Barcelona is good.
Yeah, I do think he should spread out his volunteer divisions and just pull them back a bit, because it can get dangerous fast.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be seeing a kind of like a quick snake, because the French will be defending Barcelona.
Yeah.
The thing is, they will get separated from each other.
Yeah, and it's hard to coordinate. And I think something here, and now they're walking into Tortosa. Will he get there first, the Japanese player? I think, and they've cut it. And now I think they will just hold, leave the north, or maybe check in here with Andreas. From my point of view, you would leave the north and now focus on crushing the Soviet volunteers on the south, and then go and clean up Barcelona. Would that be the wise strategic decision to make, or?
I mean, at this point, they have two choices. Either they go and try to mop up the allied volunteers just to get some kills and to set them back a little bit, or they actually just go for a fast victory. So they could actually just rush the major victory points, try to take Barcelona, try to snake down the coast, only to get so quick a win that Spain can build up even more. And this is not something you should underestimate. Spain is a juggernaut, provided it gets time to run down its focus tree, get rid of all the debuffs. I also want to point out something kind of interesting and maybe expected. If you go into the intelligence mode, in the map mode, and look at spies, you can tell that there's almost zero spy presence in Spain. And this is due to, first of all, this is due to a update of our mod where spies can't really remove entrenchment anymore. But it's also changes the dynamics of the Spanish Civil War, because Spain is essentially just mountains everywhere, and entrenchment in mountains is great.
Yeah.
So we have always had a few players trying to essentially use spies to remove entrenchment and have an easier time pushing through. And now we see nothing of it anymore.
Yeah, I think that's really important to remember. I mean, sitting in mountains is great, but we also see now that the Japanese, they are pushing down south. Yeah.
And if I were the French, I would try to punish the Japanese a bit here.
Attack them, keep them pinned, and
they also leave, because these Spanish divisions are not great.
No, the only good Spanish divisions are the ones that the Franco side gets. They get the Army of Africa, I believe, which I think he's separated into those 3 or 4 divisions. Or has he? Don't really know. Maybe we can find out somewhere. But they are good. The rest are.
We should say this is good for the Spanish Civil War.
This is good for the Spanish.
This is not a vision you should build.
No, but comparing them to here we have them, the Army of Africa. As you can see, they have 2 artillery and 9 infantry, which makes them a combat width of 20. It's not a great division, but comparing them to the other ones, who are militia, basically. They no artillery. They are not as good, spawn-in divisions. So, but this could spell an early war success for the Axis, First Blood, maybe to the Axis. Or what do you say, Andreas?
It could, and I think actually, as far as we can tell, despite my early assessment, the Axis are the ones sending the really good volunteers. It's mostly because of Italy sending really good mountaineers. Japan is sending regular forces, but with artillery in a full stack. And this is something that only really the Soviet mountaineers can counter. However, you talked a little bit about the Army of Africa, and there's something we need to add. If you look at the economy screen or the list screen of Spain, you can tell that they are already they're going down on equipment. They don't have enough guns. They still have enough cannons, but they don't have enough guns, and they don't have the elite status or like set supply to prioritize their strongest units. So Spain on both sides is gonna trickle out. It's gonna get weaker and weaker and weaker, which also means that the volunteers are gonna get more powerful.
Yeah.
And currently, that actually favors the Axis.
Yeah, because they, as you said, the Axis have better volunteers all around the board, and especially they have more of them, basically, which also is really important to have.
And now we can see the Soviets pulled back to
they did.
defend Valencia. They do not want to lose Valencia. They want.
Yeah, they need to hold that, and they need to do something. There is an opening up around Caspe to, if you push up the Soviet volunteers and coordinate with the French, you could cut off a lot of the Japanese volunteers. But they pushed the Soviets
The
out.
French tried this, but Seth put up a good defense there. Really good. And this is also such an advantage for the fascists here, is that they have an actual player on Spanish side.
Yeah.
The Allies have to coordinate with an AI.
Yeah. And we have this important thing, I think, and I want to go back to Andreas to check with this. What is the importance for the Spanish Civil War? What is important? Is it the Spanish player who should take kind of the strategic lead, or should you divert it to Germany or Italy or Japan? Or, in your opinion, who should take the lead? Because here it feels like Seth has asked for what he wants the volunteers to do. They are doing it, and they are quite quick here.
I would actually say that it's not who, it's that.
Yeah.
That is, someone has to take the lead. Most of the games when we have lost, and when I have lost the Spanish Civil War, it has been because our volunteers has been unorganized in general. You have a bunch of players, sometimes even more players than in this game, sending volunteers. And as long as they are coordinated and actually contribute, and whenever the enemy is forcing a push somewhere, they actually show up and boot them out, and then split up again and push different fronts, everything goes fine. The moment you lack coordination and volunteers just stand around or fight in a meaningless front whilst the other player can just mop up all the Spanish meat on the line, then you start losing. So as long as someone coordinates, that's the important part.
And as we've come back to a lot of times, coordination and communication is key. But now we're seeing these smaller surrounds happening.
What happened here is that, as we said, the Soviets did the right thing. They pulled back, they secured Valencia, but the AI Spanish Republican side can't hold the front line. So their front line is collapsing. You're seeing this.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fascist win, and quite an early one, I should think.
I should think so.
Well played from the Axis side.
It's really well played.
But it's not a disaster for the Soviets as long as they don't lose divisions.
No, it's not a disaster for the French or the Soviets as long as they keep hold on their divisions. That's the important part here, not to lose anything. But I would like to see something happening from the French in the north, trying to break in, or at least be annoying. But yeah,
it seems like they're pulling
Yeah, it
back.
seems like they're
I don't know if they're
leaving.
going to go down south or if they're pulling back to actually evacuate Spain. We'll see about
maybe
that.
they've given up Spain. Might be that Remmefors has decided enough is enough. I'm leaving, but
And I mean, losing a few divisions for the Soviets, it's not game breaking. They would like those elite mountaineer divisions, but they're going to be fighting on the Eastern Front. We're talking about hundreds of divisions.
Yeah.
It is a harder blow for the French.
It is. If they would lose their troops that are so desperately needed, especially of the defense in the south, where you have mountain tiles, and you know that Italy and the Axis miners will come in that way. So that would be harder. Or maybe he's just reinforcing and buckling down for the final stand in Barcelona, because the Axis, they need to take, correct me if I'm wrong here, Andreas, but essentially every major victory point has to be taken to win the Spanish Civil War, correct?
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
There's something interesting happening. If you looked at it, the French mountaineer moved to Barcelona, and then they took a boat to Valencia just now.
Okay. So they're making their stand in the south, trying to help the Soviets. Would you have done that shift earlier, or would you have stayed in Barcelona and moved them now, as Remmefors is doing?
I think that was a really good move. I might actually have missed it, but consolidating your forces is a really good idea. If you just go by the number of mountaineers, actually the Allies have the strong force. During the war, they have been able, both sides, to stack up their mountaineers or their volunteers with more cannons. So there are bitier and bitier. But since the Axis have sent more volunteers in general, you need to essentially concentrate the amount of force you have so that you can hold a sufficient amount of tiles that you don't get surrounded when the AI essentially freaks out.
I think that's important to remember. The AI can be a big hindrance for allies in Spanish Civil War. As we've seen, there's been a lot of surrounds of Republican Spanish troops, yeah, this is a quick Spain war. Maybe they can, after that move to Valencia, maybe they can push it into 37. It's another month, maybe, but it's looking like the first blood and first victor of the war will go to the Axis.
But it is fun that they moved down to Valencia to attack north.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it might be that they don't want to attack over this river. I don't think this will amount to anything, but it is fun to see that they are still starting to be a bit aggressive, trying to cause a bit of a headache. I like that.
Yeah,
and you have decent defending terrain. I mean, it's good around Barcelona, but it's decent around Valencia as well.
Yeah, and you don't have to attack over the river here when you fall the Japanese in back. But then again, they have to be careful that they don't get surrounded in turn.
No, but we have a fun little counterattack up here, and I don't think the Japanese, they don't seem to bother yet.
No.
Let's see how this looks from the Axis side.
No, it doesn't seem like they're bothering with it as of now. But it is a good push, and it's a coordinated push with Soviet and French troops, which I really do like here, that something is happening.
Their problem is that the Japanese are likely to get into Barcelona before they manage to surround them.
They're pushing them out from there now.
Should we maybe focus out a bit from the Spanish Civil War?
We could focus out a bit.
As we said, it's a fun little war. Not really. That shouldn't be the deciding factor of the game.
No, it shouldn't. I don't think it's ever been the deciding
No, but it's
factor.
easy. It's easy to make it sound that way because it's the first thing that happens.
Yeah, and we like when the action happens. But maybe we should take a look at the. We've looked at the Euro Axis miners. Maybe we should have a look at the Allied miners and Commonwealth troops, where we also have a quite an interesting lineup for that. We have on Rush, Grady, who played his first game last time with us. We have Lolse on Canada. We have Mattias on Australia. Yuri is playing Seth, and Clintbet is playing Brazil. And we have a new edition, a very late edition in here, Erik playing Holland, or Holland for a start, and then the Dutch East Indies. I also know he's playing the Dutch, but I'm going to say Holland because I can't be bothered. And this is strong.
Sorry to all our Dutch players.
Dutch players, absolutely.
Or Dutch viewers.
Yeah, I'm going to go over and call them the Dutch East Indies later on, so I will repair that. But Dom played Finland last time and did a really good Finland, a really good Finland. He held us for I played the Soviets last time. He held us for quite some time in the Winter War. Yuri, also a strong player. He kind of shifts between majors and taking the first seat, or tank heavy miners such as Seth. And when we asked for his plans, what are you planning? I got it back in all caps, tanks, exclamation point. So yeah, he's gonna go medium or heavy tanks. But looking at them, right now it's some cavalry division and a training division to exercise to get that manpower up, because the bigger division in singular that you train, the more army experience you will get, and that army experience will probably lead to being converted into a good tank template and getting that up and running. Because we also know that Yuri on South Africa and Lolse on Canada, they are up against the clock. They know that they need tanks in North Africa by late 39.
Yeah, but I'm not really sure what kind of tanks he will be building, if he's going heavy, or he should be going heavy. He has the Matilda 1 chassis researched, but he's not building them as of yet.
No, he might be
quite common that you build the infantry equipment you need, and then you wait to get decent tanks, start producing that.
And you usually also wait to get the right cannon to fit on the tank, which also is an important part here. But looking at Lolse plays Canada, he is, as you might see in the picture, he's a Danish player, quite a new addition to the to this community, but a really good, strong, solid player. He did a really good infantry Hungary when he started. That kind of took the Soviet Union by surprise. And what is he going for?
Seems like he's trying to rush the Stuart Kangaroo chassis, which is very reasonable as Canada. As one of the best mech equipment you can build in the game. He's going to want that as early as possible. But he's also researching light tanks.
Okay.
So he might be going for some kind of mechanized LT division there.
It could be something like that. But I think it's a good choice to rush the Stuart Kangaroo, because you can also, he can use it himself, but he can also give it away to other players.
Yeah.
They could buy it, so you could get early mech, which is good for the allies. Yeah, and some basic squad weapons. We're going to come back to that and see what he will be able to bring up. I want to go down south to Clintbet on Brazil.
Just to say, this also thing for a lot of the Commonwealth nations, but they have some really horrid Great Repression modifiers.
They do.
Consumer goods factories, 50%. Factory output minus 20%.
Yeah.
It basically means for the first couple of years, it seems like you're sitting there trying to build up your army as Canada or South Africa.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens. And we also have a question from Jakob in the YouTube chat. Is the Soviets building a navy? We're going to get back to that, but I would be disappointed if Badger doesn't build a navy. I'm just saying that as of now. Some shenanigans we will see. But
Can I just say, on the debuffs, if you're looking at screen right now, Darker Initiatives, everyone has this, but weak government, undiversified economy, nationalized banks. Nationalized banks are actually good. Racing federalism. These are some. He's going to get some good things in here.
But you have the separatists and you have no father, which makes it harder to build a navy.
And this is also a modifier that Mexico, Brazil, more countries that has this. Basically, this is so that you just can't spam kind of submarines or air.
Yeah, basically that. And but Clintbet is a good, solid, dependable player, and also I love to have Clintbet on my team. He is so much fun, and he is such an easy player to play with. He usually has their own ideas. Also, if you're wondering why our screen might be flickering a bit, you've seen the reason here on stream. We have kittens that like to play with it. Green screens are amazing for kittens. It shows how.
Yeah, that's a problem.
No, not really a problem.
Do you mind getting the cat?
I might try to. Come here. Yeah, come here.
Yeah, you're making problems for us.
Yeah, you're making problems. But you're also very cute on camera, so you can stay here. Yeah, but as I said, Clintbet is a solid, dependable player. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. Andreas, do you have any thoughts on way in here, or has something happened in Spain?
Something has happened in Spain. So the ally volunteers have left. Valencia is just stocked with 2 remaining soldiers from Spain, and everything is collapsing. So it's going to be a wrap very, very soon. It's probably going to be over before the end of February, maybe even in a couple of days. They have like 2 victory points that really matters left.
So 2 victory points that really matters, and we have been attacked in the studio here, trying to keep ourselves together. There's been an infiltration, and we're. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit like Jimmy Carr on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown when he tries to. Yeah, hi, don't jump from there. Yeah, sorry. When he did a brilliant thing of having kittens in the studio, and we did a brilliant thing of having kittens in the studio. Can you guys behave now? And I'm gonna let you down.
Just send them that way.
I'm sending them that way. Sorry. So I'm gonna send this one that way too. There you go. Come on. So, back to the war. If we're looking at the Pacific side of things, where we're looking at Dom Grady and Mattias on British Raj and Australia, those countries are interesting. We don't have a New Zealand player, so Australia would be a bit thicker and a bit better, because have they already taken New Zealand? Or?
I don't think they've annexed it yet.
No, but they're gonna annex New Zealand. Yeah, to make them a bit girthier and a bit wider. And Ivarsson is a really good player in this. He's played the last couple of games a lot of the Eastern Front. Solid, dependable. Also, he usually has some shenanigans in his back pocket. But the important thing for Australia is to strengthen up the Dutch East Indies, trying to strengthen up Singapore to defend that. I think Ian, who plays the UK, said that he will annex Singapore. And if Australia wants to defend it, it's up to them.
Is there a reason he's gone for all cavalry?
That's a good question. I don't really know why he's gone for.
Is there some meta I don't know? It's like, horses don't take any attrition in tropical.
I don't know.
Because in real life, putting cavalry on New Guinea is a disastrous idea.
It's a disastrous idea. But
I'm guessing he'll be converting these divisions later, but
yeah,
I might be missing something.
And just to follow in here from Brutesnack, is the cats versus caster battle historically accurate? No, it's not. We got overwhelmed. We got swamped here. And I think they
This is something that happened to the Swedish volunteer divisions in the Finnish Winter War.
Yeah, that's why we didn't send the whole regular army or joined in.
Google Gravströmska räden.
Yeah.
Cats everywhere.
Cats everywhere. Yeah, paradropped cats. I mean, cats everywhere. And as we know, cats are exceptional winter fighters.
Yes.
But then going back
very light-footed.
Yeah, very light-footed. Spells doom for any Russian heavy tank. If we go back to the British Raj and Dom Grady, they have the important. They have some important things to think about. They have to be in Africa, so he has to build for that. But they also have to be prepared for the eventuality of an early war from the Japanese, and they also have to defend a lot of things. And if things go bad in Africa, it usually spells that the Raj will hold, because what will the Allies do? They will dumpster all their tanks and all their equipment and all their forces into Raj, just to make life a pain for the Japanese player. But if it goes well in Africa, we have a different situation for the Raj.
And we can see here that he's lined up his line infantry for Africa, 20 width. He will be trying, his task will be mopping up Ethiopia and then strengthening up the defense up in Egypt. But you're always a bit stressed as an India player.
You are.
Because you want North Africa to wrap up soon so that you can go home. And there is a very smart tactic for the Axis where you can kind of coordinate, keep them fighting in Ethiopia so that they don't have time to get back, have an early Japan. We're guessing we won't be seeing that this game.
I don't think we will. We also have something, a question or an answer to what we said before from Wendy Delis in the YouTube comment. Cavalry is much better in jungle than motorized infantry. So there we got a question for that. They are much better. I don't know the historical accuracy for this, but they are. So
let's just say neither side fielded cavalry divisions at Bunagona.
But having looked at the Russian Australia, I think, and also the Dutch East Indies with Erik, because the Dutch player will emigrate to the Dutch East Indies and come over there, and they get some good focuses and decisions for submarines, and they also get a really good submarine commander, so they can really wreck things and spice things up for the Japanese players or the Asia Axis, which I think is quite interesting to see. And Erik is a new addition. I haven't seen him play before, so it's going to be exciting to see what is going to happen here. Sorry if I'm looking behind my back. I have
just ignore them.
Yeah, I'll try and ignore them. But they're also so cute. No, but the Dutch player can really make a difference in the Pacific War. The hard part is trying to keep hold of your main islands when the Japanese come. And switching the focus, we can have a look at the Asia Axis miners. We have two of them here.
Do you want to start with Manchu?
Yeah, I think we're going to start with Manchu for this. And on Manchu, we have SeaCrown. And he is, he's doing the expected path, I think, here for him. They will usually be used to hold and push the northern front of the Japanese Sino War, and then we'll see if it's going to be a big Manchu or a small Manchu. Big Manchu means more infantry, all that manpower from China and all that. Smaller Manchu probably or usually means some elite divisions and submarines. Sub-3s with snorkels that can really hurt Allied convoying and Allied shipping in the Pacific. And we have Kisselera, who actually had his birthday yesterday, so happy congrats to him. He's playing Siam, who is, according to the plan for the Japanese players, he is going to get some expeditionary forces trying to hold Raj when Japan island hops, and it basically tries to take out Dutch East Indies, Philippines, Australia, and grabbing stuff in the Pacific. Both of these are solid, strong players, and I think also Kisselera, that is the picture from latest Bergagård Hov, so he is actually dressed for the occasion. He has what he needs to show his allegiance to this game. It's going to be interesting in the Pacific, really, really interesting. I think. But touching back to something Jakob asked for in chat, are the Soviets building navy? Maybe look at the Comintern here. And the Comintern, as we said, led by Badger, and he's joined by Petey and Calle, and they have Rosen on Mongolia. So is there any navy here?
Sadly, they seem to be chickening out. They're just building convoys right now, training the navy they start with. This doesn't mean that we won't see any naval invasions.
No,
because if there's a slight window if the Axis don't... Because the Soviets aren't allowed to naval invade Finland during the Winter War.
No.
But when Barbarossa starts, if the German navy isn't present in the Baltic, there is a slight chance that you can pull off naval invasions.
Yeah.
We can also see if we...
Where has he put his navy? Is it in the Black Sea or is it up in the...
No, he's mainly got subs and a small navy
forces.
and token forces in the Black Sea.
And the big navy concentration is up in the
Or is it though?
The Baltic Sea. Some are in Archangels and
we can see that he's putting out
Yeah.
submarines or destroyers just to try and have a bit of convoy defense up in the Barents Sea.
Yeah, and here I would like to have Andreas chime in a bit, because you played a bit of Finland during your days. The important part here for the Soviet Union is to obviously win the Finnish Winter War, so you can push the Finns back a couple of tiles. But then again, Finland is this kind of, either you have to knock them out early, otherwise they're going to be a thorn in your side for basically the whole game. What are your predictions between Finland and the Soviet Union in this timeline?
So this is a hard one, because Finland is pretty much always doing the same thing. They are essentially building up the only army they can afford, and they rely entirely on the game giving them a lot of bonuses. They're really strong. So Finland doesn't really have that much of an option apart from just defending hard. So the main question is Soviet going to focus on Finland? Are they going to be able to field something that's good in Finland? Here I'm not so sure. They're going to have a bit of a hard time. I don't see any really superior pushing divisions. They have one advantage, and that's that they got their mountaineers out of Spain. So they do have a bunch of fairly well-trained mountaineers, which could do an early push. And that might be their best chance.
Yeah, there might be a good chance here. And we also have Jakob, who said something interesting about Badger and naval. The Soviets can invade the Mediterranean through the Dardanelles. So they could actually get out there and come with a naval invasion. Yeah.
Because they're friendly with...
Yeah.
Jakob, you sly devil.
Yeah, Jakob is one of the slyer devils I know when it comes to Hearts of Iron and weird tactics. So any Soviets watching the stream, there you go, pro tip from Jakob. Wendy Delis has also said that motorized gets a special 50% speed penalty in jungle and draws fuel and draws more supplies than cavalry. Much too many supplies to live off the land, the jungles consume supply trucks fast. Yeah, makes sense. Makes actual sense.
But has anyone said that you should put motorized infantry?
No, I don't know. But I mean, that's an explanation for the cavalry. So thank you so much, Wendy, and thank you so much, Jakob. We will keep a lookout for the eventual push through the Dardanelles naval invasions if they come. But we have this. Badger is actually going for quite an interesting build. It's going to be a holding build, as you say, with garrisons, and see what happens with that. Also, I will take the opportunity to push our Patreon once again here. You can become a free trial patron for 7 days. You get full access to everything we have, multiplayer saved games, guides, etc., etc. For 7 days. It doesn't cost you a thing. And also, if you're one of the first 6 today that to sign up, we will also give you a DLC, Trial of Allegiance. And you might already have that, but then gift it to someone who doesn't have it. I mean, it's a great bargain. So I would urge you, if you're not a patron of Hygge Gaming, become a patron of Hygge Gaming. I mean, as of now, there's a bunch of collections of guides, special guides that you haven't seen on YouTube, a bunch of save games from our multiplayers. If you want to go in and see, can I do this better, or what kind of template build did they do, or how did stationary position his navy, what navy did it build, how did Ian manage to pump out all those aircrafts. Become a free member for 7 days and try it out. Doesn't cost you a thing, and you might get a DLC on the go. So that's the push I wanted to do there. Going back here, we're into Germany. He's going for Anschluss, I see, which is quite an early Anschluss. They're not going to try to tension starve them.
But I think that might be because we're not that close to a China war.
No, we're not. We're not. So maybe he's going to try to...
Let's see how much that spikes world tension. No, it's a 10, because you have some magic numbers here. You want to keep... you have 5%, you have 10%. And I'm not sure what the next
whatever we
level
say,
is.
I think Jakob will correct us in
yes,
chat.
please
so,
do, Jakob.
Yeah, so maybe we don't
but
say
10% is a really important number to keep hold of, because there are a number of nations that have focuses locked behind 10% world tension.
Yeah.
And it means that they can't get rid of kind of Great Depression's effect and so on, can't get their industry into the next gear. So when the Germans do Anschluss here, we will see a spike above 10%, and it's mid-37. It's not super early, but once the Sino-Japanese war starts, that usually spikes it up a real bunch.
And an interesting thing to look at for the Sino-Japanese war, when that comes around in 38, that is to see how many of the allies have the good relations with China, so they can send an attaché and get that military experience that they so desperately need, and push themselves over the threshold for partial mob and go up and get more use of their factories, so they don't make toasters. So that's always something that people tend to forget. We need good relations with China. So when that war starts, you will probably see a bunch of countries just, oh yeah, I have to put my PP in here. Yeah, your political power, that is. But also you will have the Congress for the Commonwealth. So you need to spend political power or save political power for that.
Yeah, you don't really need to, because it just drags it off. But yeah, you should have some political power, especially the UK, I think, needs it. It's not that important for the Commonwealth nations, but
you also need the PP and the...
let's just say political power.
Yeah, but okay, political power, fair enough. Trying to keep it clean. But you also need command power to spend away, and I think the attaché in China is really important for, especially the allied miners, to get that. And to get that tension spike, it could also dwindle away, but it will push it up a bit, which I think is important. But I would like to check in with Andreas, because you've been looking a bit on the spy game. You mentioned that some things are nerfed, but we're not in battle as of yet, or we have had a battle. But what is going on with the spy game?
Not much.
Okay.
No, but so all the major nations have spies out, and they're doing some things. So the German spies have built a network in Paris, but actually most of them are or have been defending. Now they are going out on collaboration missions. So the PrEP network, they started a collaboration government in France. Italy and the UK have sent spies towards each other, and they are chilling out in each other's capitals, building networks. Not very much is happening. The UK has been focused on defense, but they have dropped it a little bit because they have a lot of passive defense instead. And the Soviets are doing, they're spending some of their people chasing and assassinating ex-government officials. So that is what's going on. It's not that exciting. The major players are prepping a little bit for the war in France and getting intel on each other. That's really all that's happening right now.
Yeah, but when I have you here, you probably looked a bit at it. Have you seen any inclination towards what kind of early builds do we have from Germany? What kind of early builds do we have from France to try to counter Germany here? Do we have a tank template up for Germany, for example, as of now?
Yes, we have a tank template. It's called Early. So it's really easy to spot. It is a weird template, actually. It's currently only at 100 soft attack. So they have smashed in a bunch of assault guns with trucks. I presume this is because they haven't finished developing their assault guns yet. Because they have, as I said, about 100 100 soft attack, 150 breakthrough. Not very good for a 28 with tank division. I think they would get almost as much from just smashing trucks together. So they are prepping, but it's far from done. I can go in and look at the templates, but in that case, you're gonna have to give me some time. So it's a bit hard to tell what you're gonna do. Yeah. Apart from it's gonna be assault guns.
Yeah, but maybe you can have a look at what France and Germany and especially the Italians, what they are prepping, and we'll come back to you. I've also gotten some things back here from Jakob, which is always nice to have a pro in the chat. He thinks it's 10 world tension for the UK depression, 20 world tension for abandoning naval treaty, and 30 world tension for Axis Commandant war eco, which is, thank you so much for that, Jakob. And also, Wendy is back with the special 50% speed penalty also happens to motorized in forest, which is something to look at.
And we're not really at... The Allies can't withdraw from the naval treaties yet, but the escalator clause is invoked and will fire in 24 days, which means that they can start making bigger ships at least.
Yeah.
So I think that we'll see a shift in naval production when that happens.
Yeah.
At this point, the UK is still pushing out slowly but steadily those carriers and building anti-submarine warfare destroyers.
Yeah, which is a good thing to do because it's something that Germany can pump out, and also Spain can pump out a lot of submarines. And if we can go to sea tile, because there is one outside of Africa where you can lock down, if you hold the Suez and you take Cape Verde plain, you can wreak havoc on a lot of allied shipping.
Yeah, basically you take away the ability for them to move to Asia.
Yeah.
You're getting a really strained line of supply there for the Allies.
Especially for the Raj if they are importing things from the UK or vice versa. But if they hold on to Gibraltar and the Suez Canal, that's not a problem for them. But locking down Cape Verde plain, that devastates the Allied economy.
And that's also basically the only thing that the UK will focus on when it comes to the UK army is just home defense, Gibraltar, Malta, Suez.
Yeah. And he's going to have some troops on Malta and Gibraltar. But then again, as he said, he's going to focus on Navy and air and leave he's going to have an army, but he's going to leave the pushing and concentration of the army to the Commonwealth and the miners, which I think when you're a solo player on UK, that's kind of the way to go. You have to give up something.
Yeah, and also the smart thing, which he said he will do after France falls, is because France will fall. We'll see how long Remmefors can hold out. We've seen really good France plays for the last couple of games. Almost, I mean, game-changing holdouts.
Yeah.
which really throw a spanner in the works of the Euro axis. But when France falls, he will be sending his troops as expeditionary forces to the French.
Yeah.
Basically letting the French manage the UK's army.
Yeah, that's basically the way.
And for me, I think that's a smart decision. I really can't see a huge downside to that.
Yeah, it is a really. I think it's a great play, and Remmefors, as we've said, some people. I mean, Badger and stationary, they're Navy guys. Ian is an air guy and a Navy guy, but Remmefors is a good infantry guy, solid infantry controller. I'm gonna check back in with Andreas to see, you've had a look around, any updates or fun things and gimmicks you've found?
Well, I've been looking into, and it has been developing, the situation between France and Germany, and I think France is going to have to hope for peace in our time, because they are very much mismatched. So Germany finished building their Panzer IV assault gun template, and it has skyrocketed the early tanks' attack power. So they have almost 300 soft attack and 453 breakthrough. They're really punchy. Whilst France still, well, they have a lot of infantry, but the only infantry they actually properly fielded, apart from a few mountaineers, is their colonial brigades, which is essentially small garrison divisions. They do have about 130 of them, 126, but they are exactly the thing that the German tanks can just cut through like butter. So currently they're very mismatched, but there are a couple of years to go, so things could swap around, things could change. In the meantime, Italy has also, well, they have a lot of garrison troops, but they also build the Legion templates, which is a fairly good 30 with infantry plus artillery build, which can also decimate the French garrisons. So unless France really goes for something slightly more elite or start upgrading their template, they're going to be in a bad position. And starting from the garrison template is actually going to make the update harder and more and slower than if they started from a regular infantry template. So I don't know what France is going for here.
Let's just see the defensive stats, because I think this is interesting. We've seen a couple of really good French
Holdouts.
But that was also getting some para divisions, spacing out in Brussels. So you have a gambit for defending the Low Countries here, where you get French troops into Brussels here. On this tile, that's town behind a river, and basically, if you get these troops in, get them entrenched, they're really hard to shift. And Germany don't have really good armored divisions as of yet. Usually in that point of the game, we can see that at this, so far in the game, I don't think we'll see a really game-breaking German armored divisions by 1940. We'll see how it is in 1941.
But then again, Gidon also had this when I saw the intel from him. He is contemplating leaving, since we don't have a player on Poland, leaving Poland to the miners to clean that up, so we can shift all of the German forces. Some holding forces absolutely will stay on the Polish border, but push it all over. And I mean, the Dutch, they have to put up a defense before they cap, but usually that's a walk in the park. But Belgium will be a key here, and if he can bring all his forces to bear, that's really interesting. Maybe he's also going to go for some Paris and try to drop Remmefors. But then again, Remmefors is such an experienced player. He will probably have those bases covered, hopefully, for him.
Yeah, with north of 130 divisions by 1937, he should be able to. He won't lack divisions.
No.
We'll see how he is on equipment.
He's some squad weapons and some supplies. Support equipment.
This will sort itself out, or will...
Yeah, it will sort itself out.
Numbers will go up.
But the interesting part here with Ian focusing on Air and Navy, is that we probably won't see a British Expeditionary Force in Belgium.
Back to a more classic, early play from the Allies.
Andreas?
Yeah, so two things. I've been continuing looking into France, and while you're correct, they have several years. There is not a war in sight. They are currently not building any kind of anti-tank gun. They're not researching any kind of anti-tank gun. So if they want to hold out and start building it when they get the second tier, it's actually gonna be a little bit of a tight one. So I think I do believe they are not prepping for the Germany that they're gonna face. Furthermore, if you look at the UK, they still only have one infantry division training. This is, of course, something that's going to sort itself out before the major war, but it definitely reduces the chances that UK is going to step in and help the Low Countries.
Considering that they have to hold Gibraltar, Malta, the Suez, and also the home islands. I mean, the home islands can't be left defenseless because a sea lion can spell devastation for the Allies and also the UK. Then you will lose. You will have your navy left, but you will lose a lot of air, a lot of equipment, and also it's a pain to take back. Basically. Yeah.
But he's done a good rush on the 1939 destroyer and the Supermarine Spitfire from the UK side, which means he'll have that in the autumn of 1938. That's decent, I should say.
That's decent. Maybe Andreas could have a look, or no, you can have the look here. How is Germany in fighters? He's still producing the Fighter 1. Has it gone for? Yeah, the Messerschmitt is coming in 2050.
But he will have the Messerschmitt before the Spitfire, which I would say is good. Let's look on.
Yeah.
So we have 500 fighters out. How many do we have in?
What do we have for?
But most of these are old.
Yeah, they're old. They're not up to date yet. How many factories has it put on that? He's going to go for 150 factories on his.
He's ramping up to that.
Yeah, he's ramping up to that.
But let's see how he does it. He also will have more factories coming in through Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Where he also gets a decent amount of infantry equipment,
he does.
Support equipment, light tanks.
Yep.
Really important for the Germans as well.
How many are the UK?
The Germans.
Yeah. How many are the UK going to try to put on air? As of now, what is he ramping up and aiming towards? He's aiming towards.
Yeah, he doesn't do the thing that Germans do, where you just click it up to 150.
Yeah.
Doesn't really say much because
no, it doesn't.
The interesting is when does it get it. But I do think that at least in numbers, the Germans should have an advantage
in our
early on.
Yeah, usually what we see in our games is that Germany has more aircrafts as a start, but that's also due to some different factors. Germany starts on partial, they can easily move up their eco, they can use their factories in a different way than the UK can. They have to wait for well tension and stuff like that.
But I would say that if the UK does this right, he should trade better in the air.
Yeah,
he has fantastic commanders for this. If he gets the experience up, he should trade quite well with the Germans.
Yeah, and also trading over France, the UK can put his aircrafts in France, in the zone. The Germans have to travel into it, so it's going to be tight. But we also have this looking at air.
But the UK is also even now building strap bombers.
Oh, that can really hurt German economy. Yeah, it can. But also looking at planes, Badger also said something that he is aiming for fighters and CAS to help him out. I don't know if he has some factor, but those I-16s. Both you and I, we played a lot of the Eastern Front, and those I-16s, they won't stand a chance.
No,
not a chance. So he would probably need to have some lend-lease from the US and from the UK to fill that up. But I see that.
But I'm really interested to see if he's planning to have any. Do you know if he is going to produce any armor divisions or push divisions? He's producing a few light tanks. Basically, that's just to fill up a recon company.
I think we're gonna have a chat with him later on, so we can ask him that. But I think he will probably focus on holding first and then take it as it goes, basically. And he also has maybe if we push over to Mongolia. Mongolia will probably go for tanks, and they can have some pushy, meaty divisions. It's Rosen. He likes to have the pushy, meaty divisions and punish people when they get overexcited and overstretched. And he's gone for I think he's going to go for the T-34 chassis.
He's named his divisions. If you're reading this, I'm going cavalry.
He's going cavalry. All right, then.
That's not his accent anyway.
No.
Sorry.
Welcome to the stream where we butcher every accent and language as we go on. But I mean, there's a lot of cavalry coming out from Mongolia. So I'm going cavalry. Yeah, I like that. But also, if we could maybe go to Japan, because I got some sweet intel. This is the great part of being in the studio. You can jump around to different chats and see what are they saying. They are going to keep Nihisho as a general till level 6. They want to level him up to level 6, and then they're going to put him as a field marshal, and they want to get up Imamura and Fuji to level 6 also.
And that's basically the generals they have on their armies as of now.
And Imamura has some great traits to look at as a naval invader.
They also have a war goal on China. We'll see when
that
the
fires.
war kicks off.
Yeah, we're close to that. I think it has to be 38. Either you have to start a decision January 30th. Yeah, we're gonna check that. Maybe that's something for to see for later. But it's gonna be interesting. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Ivan and Adam and SeaCrown will have a good China war. They usually do. The question is, how quick are they, and how much equipment and men will they lose? But they will win. They will win.
Should win.
They should win. I mean, it's a. And also the interesting part here is nobody is allowed to send volunteers to China except for the Soviets. They can send air volunteers, and using air volunteers to mess up supplies and the logistics for the Japanese army can severely hamper them. Andreas, have you noticed anything when you've been looking around, anything interesting or something you want to bring up to the table, or are you just gearing up for the Sino-Japanese wars as me and Magnus are?
I've noticed a few things. They're not that interesting though, but let's run through them. So first of all, something interesting is probably happening with the airplanes in Soviet, because they are building more of them considering how poor they are. And I think what is happening is actually the air volunteers to China, as well as the idea that you just can keep more air zones green rather than just gray to just get some kind of first level bonus. Another thing that's sort of semi-interesting is that Manchukuo are building fairly large amount of very poor infantry, which probably means that they and Japan had a deal that they're just gonna provide some meat on the line early on. So what they've done is they have taken the poorest division or the poorest template they can get from a focus and supplemented them with the bare minimal legal level of garrisons we allow in this game to make something that is 16 width, which is essentially shit. But it's shit on the line, and the Chinese are going to have to walk through it, and we know the AI hates to do that.
Yeah, and now I think we're going to have a pause soon in the game. They're gearing up for this war.
It just kicked off, so the Japanese have declared war on the Republic of China.
Yeah, so war is up. Maybe we can have a check. How many allied countries are now boosting their relations with China to get that? Yeah.
The UK, the Soviets, the French, the Mongolians, the Australians.
Yeah, so we will see attachés in China. And as we said before, this is a really good way of gaining XP for the allies, which they desperately need here. So that's really interesting to see. Yep.
India as well.
India as well. Yeah. Here they're gonna come. The whole allied goon squad will come rushing to say to China, "Hi, we're friends. Can we give you an attaché? Maybe you can hold." So yeah, that's really what's gonna happen now. But this is gonna be interesting. And as we said, probably a push from the north and then a naval invasion somewhere in the south from the Japanese players. And I mean, stationary he's done. Yeah, we see the naval invasions where they're gonna go.
In Guangzhou. Down by Hong Kong.
Yeah. And also,
so we are rolling.
Yeah, we're rolling. And we also have 24% world tension now. So
very nice that it's 24.
Yeah, 24. 24.
Yes, 25 was one of those magic numbers.
It's a magic number. Yeah.
But that means that a lot of countries will be able to ramp up their economic laws and their industrial production.
Yeah. And we also have the 13th Exen, who says, I caught a game live for once. How did Spain go? Oh, and hi from us. Hello, us. Really lovely to have you here. Spain, I think we can actually get Andreas to recap Spain, what happened in that. So, Andreas, would you like to recap it while we look at the war here in Asia?
So in short, the Spanish Civil War was a massive success for the Axis. What happened was essentially that, first of all, the Francoist Spain pushed Madrid and took it before any volunteer forces could arrive and actually get to the front line. Big success. Furthermore, while it early on looked like Allies was sending the better volunteers, they had mountaineers and they had more guns on them. First, Italy came in with a few really good mountaineers and started kicking their asses. And then actually regular volunteer forces from Japan did a really good job. And what they did was essentially they managed to split the front down in the middle, pushing the French volunteer up to the north and the Soviet ones down the south, and just started mopping up Spanish divisions. It was kind of exciting, but very quick. The only thing preventing them from actually winning in January or February of 1937 was that they themselves slowed down a little bit. Maybe to grind a little bit, hard to tell. They definitely waited with taking some of the victory points, perhaps just to ruin the supply. So they kept the capital in Malaga with 0 people defending it for a long time, probably just to make sure that the rest of Spain did not have enough supply to actually defend. The Allies managed to get all of their volunteers out. They did get some experience, but they didn't get a really good training level. Actually, the only one who really got a good training level from this was Japan, who also got a few medals. So that is pretty much the war, rounded off in early March 1937. Pretty good date. They could have gone earlier, but this way they got a bunch more experience instead.
Thank you so much for that recap, Andreas. And also we got from Slimuk, great content so far. Thank you. No, thank you, Slimuk, for keeping us company here. I mean, we do this, well, both because we like it and we think it's fun, but also for you guys. And I couldn't think about a better way to spend my Sunday than with you guys. And you guys here, of course. So this is really nice here.
And the freaking cats.
Yeah, and the freaking cats. But we have seen, as we expected, the naval invasion in the south from the Japanese, and also the slower push from the north.
Yes, so from what intel we have is that we will have Manchu pushing down south.
Yeah.
We will have the Japanese coming down to meet them from the south, going north. It's a long way to go.
It's a long way to go.
It's a lot of Chinese divisions, but as you said, they've done this before, and it seems like even the Japanese have they have a plan here.
Yeah, they have a plan. They're funneling in more and more troops.
Supply situation, as always in the Sino-Japanese war, terrible.
Yep. But that's kind of...
But that'll sort itself out eventually, I think.
Yeah.
This is the fun thing where if you can get Soviet air volunteers in, they haven't sent any air volunteers as of yet.
No.
Just screwing with the Japanese supplies. Just get in some shitty tactical bombers and just go for striking the Japanese infrastructure.
Yeah, and as someone who, and I also think, if we check the Soviets, have they fired off the incident at the border? Because this usually is a good time to do that.
They are.
They're testing
right
the
now,
Japanese.
Right now.
Yeah, and there's no Japanese divisions there as of yet. This is a good
Badger,
way.
sneaky devil.
Yeah, sneaky devil, that Badger. I mean, Slimuk also in the chat has sneaky Japanese. What do you in chat think they're up to? Yeah, we would love to hear your opinions. I mean, we have a broad sense of what they're up to. Yeah, they're going to try to split it, force out the waves of or Chinese, so they can mop them up and consolidate this and have a nice, clean China war. And I mean, we've seen this happen a couple of times. Stationary and Adam are really good players. Did Trotsky die?
Did he delete his...
Has he deleted anything? Something? No. Well, so we always want to hear what you guys think and what you're up to.
He converted his Marines
he did.
to infantry divisions, which are way better on the front line.
Yeah. And We have Zoe in YouTube chat saying that in Spain, I usually draw out the Spanish in single player. I usually draw out the Spanish Civil War even when winning to get that sweet division XP. Yes, that's something I also do when I play Spain in single player. But we also have some rules about prolonging the war and dragging it out. And it's better for the Spanish player here in our multiplayer to get an early start. The earlier they can start, the better they can be moving forward. And we also have...
And don't forget, I mean, since we have volunteers from both sides, yes, you're getting the XP for, say, the Axis, but the Soviets and the French are also getting it.
Yeah.
It's a bit more of a trade-off.
Yeah, but you could drag it out if you corner and kill the Allied forces. We also have Oz with fingers crossed that this spells a good run for the Axis. Last few games have been hard for them. Yeah, we said that in the start, Oz, that we've played, this is the 25th game since January 23, and it's 12-12, 12 all. 12 Allied victories, 12 Axis victory, but in 2025, we've played, this is the 5th game, we've played 4 games before. Axis has only managed to win 1, and Allies have a back-to-back streak as of now. So it's going to be interesting to see who will pull ahead and have that sweet 13th victory, but also can the Axis level out the playing field for 2025?
I'm not really sure why the Soviets aren't escalating the border incident.
Maybe
right
it's
now
forgotten that.
no Japan.
Yeah, maybe it's forgotten that. It's a button to click.
No shade on people who forget their buttons to click. I lost the Winter War that way.
Yeah.
The Soviets once.
Yep. I was your second on that, and I thought, well, Magnus probably has this covered. Turns out it was a sneaky button that we forgot to push.
First game after they introduced that button.
Yep, I know. We didn't really have that one. But yeah, it's pretty solid and standard. He's snaking up. But the North
I think we can afford to look at other things than the Sino-Japanese war for right now.
I would like to check in...
Click the button, Soviets.
Yeah, click the button. I would like to check in with Andreas because you've been listening in a bit to the different chats, correct? What are you talking about? What's going on in the Allied chat and the Axis chat?
Recently, I've been listening to the Japan and the Asia Axis chat, and they are essentially just chasing a few surrounds and walking along a railway road. And that is as much as I have to say on that currently. But I'm going to keep listening.
You're going to keep on listening and get in here. And we have Slimak again with, do he recruit new players to be part of these awesome games? Basically, that's for the Central Committee to decide. But basically, we have 2 rules for playing with us and being a part of this community. You have to play the game. You don't have to be good at it, but you have to play it, or at least want to play it, and you just have to be a swell guy that we would like to have a beer with. I think those are the 2 criteria we're going for. But that's a question for the Central Committee.
Love to hear the expression "swell guy" for the first time since 1947. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, just wait until I'm gonna refer to the war as fisticuffs. Or kerfuffle. I'm trying to get in character here.
Yes, I fought in the last great kerfuffle.
Yeah. A lot of fisticuffs with the Yeristan. So
Fought the Prussian Guard today. Good lot.
Good lot. Swell.
Actual quote from a British officer.
Yeah, and of course, Slimak, if you have any other questions so forth, just ask them in chat and we will try to get to them as soon as we can, trying to jump between YouTube and Twitch here. But we have not really that much going on. It's a upbuilding, and we're 1.5 years away from war. And also, so you guys know, when war breaks out, we will have a lunch break and come back. The lunch break is usually 40-45 minutes. We will see if we take that whole break or if we stay in chat with you guys and see what it is and go through a couple of things. We will decide that based on how hungry we are when lunch comes around. But I have to say, so far, it's rolling through in a good pace, this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really...
Very little lobby simulator. We were hoping we could do more interviews.
Cue lobby simulator in 3, 2, 1. I have to say that. Yeah. Yeah, but I think this is a really stable game so far.
Yeah, and for those of you who've never played any Paradox games, they are very well known for stable games.
Yeah.
You never have, no disconnect, no
easy
weird
to connect
bugs.
to.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
everyone has the same,
famously.
Yeah, famously the same checksum every time when you get up. Famously.
Give us more tote bags, Paradox.
Yeah, please sponsor us. No, but to see this, yeah, I think it's interesting to see what the different setups are, and we're gonna try to. I hope our technician isn't dying of an sofa.
It's just a fit of coughing.
Yeah, it's a fit of coughing. Yeah, don't mind him. Focus on what you're doing.
Ignore the cats, ignore the technicians and all other animals.
Ignore everything. No, but I think we're set up for quite a good game. We saw the Italians did some torpedo cruisers and so forth, and China, yeah, he's snaking out now. Yeah, some surrounds.
Weird snaking.
Yeah, but he can do.
The China wars. I mean, for later today, front lines shouldn't look like this. In the China war, this is the normal. If I see something like this later in the day, I will call people out. But we can see that they are getting closer to actually connecting the northern and southern offensive, which was one of the big goals. And I do think they want to connect those up, trigger a few more waves, so make sure that they basically have the Chinese AI divisions that spawn in. They are already surrounded.
Yeah.
Low on supply.
I also really want, and I hope Andreas maybe can do this for us. I would really like to have a talk with either Ian or Remmefors when we now are proceeding into war to see a bit on what the Allies' plans are here and what we can do with that before lunch. And then moving on to Gidon or Ugis and see what their plans are, just to compare them, because we are closer and closer to war. We are moving closer and closer.
April 38th. This will be, and from here on, we will be rolling fast, I should think. Let's see when the Germans will be. I'm quite surprised that they're keeping world tension quite low on the Axis team.
Yeah, but soon he has to start going for Sudetenland and so forth if he wants to. Get the war when it's supposed to go. I'm sorry, I just have to take a sip of water.
But if he waits for about 4 months more, he can trigger Sudetenland without going over 25%.
So it's a good world tension play in some ways, keeping it low and steady. So
let's look at the US. The US are basically not doing that much interesting right now. They're managing their economy. Yeah. Still building a lot of civilian factories.
Yeah.
They haven't really started their transition to a war economy and war production.
Not yet.
But they do have 60, and I think that's the max they can have with this dockyard inefficiencies.
I think that's what they have. And when we have this little lull in the game, when people are building up and we're looking at the US, again, I'm going to push for becoming a free trial Patreon for 7 days to Hygge Gaming over at Patreon. We have a lot of guides. We have the save game from the multiplayer events where you can go in and check for yourselves, try and replay them. And if you sign up to become a free trial member for 7 days, it won't cost you anything. You will get access to all the great content that's over there. And also, the first 6 of you that sign up will also be gifted a free DLC, Trial of Allegiance. And if you have that, you can gift it to someone else. So I think that's a great deal. You can go over there, check it out, check out all the content for free for 7 days. Hygge Gaming over at Patreon. So that's a good deal. I think that's the deal of the day.
Yeah, so just on the US Navy here, we're seeing that they have a lot of old battleships and the like. They will probably be refitting. They are spamming a few destroyer hulls. Yeah. And if you look at these, you'll see that they will need to be refitted. Yeah. It's basically just a cannon and an engine. Yep. So I'm guessing they're waiting for better ASW tech to refit those.
But then again, cannon and engine, that's how I usually do naval play. Not a naval guy.
And it's the same thing with these battlecruiser hulls they're spamming out now. Basically, they will refit these later to put the good guns on. Yeah. But they want the hulls floating so they can just refit them when they got the good tech.
Yeah. which is the way to go.
200 days away. And then we'll see a lot of refitting.
Yeah, but they have the dockyards for it. They are up at 60 dockyards. How many does the Japanese have as of now? So
Great minds.
Yeah, great minds think alike.
Tag in.
Yeah, let's see what they got.
They are building super heavy battleships, which is, I think, what the Allies are expecting from these Japan players.
Yeah.
Which means that, okay, so we talked about the psychology of kind of like guessing what will your counterpart be doing. And these super heavy battleships are hard to counter, but at least the plan for the US was to try and counter these super heavy battleships.
Yeah.
So we'll see those battle cruisers, you'll be seeing a bit of carriers thrown in to try and counter them, and basically try and wear them out. Because when these super heavies start going, the Japanese Navy is
it's gonna be hell to pay if you don't counter them correctly.
They also have a bit of raid. They had a few submarines, I think it's mostly starting submarines, but they will probably be doing a bit of raiding in the Pacific. And it's tough for Japan to build a really competitive strike navy and anti-submarine warfare capability.
But then again, if you have Manchukuo going for that could be an easy part to counter that, either with spotters and
quite a few Japanese convoys as well.
Yeah,
so I think they're
they're probably going for that. But a lot of super heavy battleships. But we also see the China War is kind of moving on as expected. What are the casualty rates here for the China War?
Very manageable for the Japanese.
31
the Chinese
million.
just gone over 1 million.
Yeah. Which wave are they mobilized in? Chinese. I think you see it on the flag if you go for that, and you can see wave spawn here somewhere. Yeah, second wave. Second wave. So it's going to plan for Japan, one has to say.
But I do think they want to close this up before the third wave spawns in.
Yeah, they do.
Then deal with that, take Nanjing, and then going for the victory points.
Yeah, and moving up there. But I have to say that consistent war from the Japanese players, Adam and Ivan, Adam and Stationary, they've done this before. They're experienced with it, and they're not taking risks, which I think is the way to go here.
If you want to see how you fight a really competent China war, become a patron, get those saves, and you can just copy this out.
You can copy this out, and that will make you a better multiplayer person, or even a better single player person.
A better person.
Yeah. Become a patron. Become a better person. Are you a patron?
Yeah.
You're a good person. I knew that. No, but
that's all the selling I will be doing for today.
That's all the selling I'm doing. I'm doing the selling here. No, but to quote Robin from How I Met Your Mother, it is a competent game. It has the pace that we were expecting, but things will soon start to kick off with Sudetenland and World Tension, and then we will see. Maybe if we could have a look and a check and see how is it going for Raj, Seth, and Canada. Are they up to speed where they should be in this timeline?
Let's
see.
Check in. I would say the Indians should start training up some divisions.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Because the one they've been training, they are now about a year away from war.
Yeah.
The Italians don't right away, but you need to get those divisions out. You need to get them trained. You need to get them over to Africa. About time to start training those divisions. Let's see if we got the template up. He has... Yeah, an artillery heavy. Actually, I think this might be illegal, right? What do we say about artillery?
Let me see.
And that can't be over 50%, right?
No, I think...
And when we say illegal, we mean it's against the rules and the community rules for the games.
Yeah.
Same thing with the 20 with Japs.
Yeah, I think I have to check that a little closer and see what happens. Minimum 15 combat with, normal, that's a tank division.
But while you're checking that, I can look at South Africa and Canada. And here we should be seeing armored divisions getting up and training. And we see here that, 40 with. Oh, that's just the training divisions. Come on, guys. And they're not training any infantry either. And since we know that the UK plan is that these guys should be taking the heavy brunt of the early fighting. Yeah. I would be a bit concerned if I was the UK player right now, because I think the South Africans will be fielding maximum 1 heavy tank division. This is also 20 width. This should be 30 width, right?
Yeah, it should be, and you need to match the motorized with the amount of tanks. But that's probably a building division that's gonna.
Yeah, that's a building division. So the divisions aren't built. They aren't in training. Let's look at the Canadians.
Yeah, what are they doing?
Nothing. No, let's see. I think they might have. Yeah, they actually have divisions out. And we can see the armor divisions. Clicking the wrong buttons here. Give me just a second.
Yep. Well, eagerly await.
Yeah. So light tanks, and we have for now motorized infantry. These will be shifting over to shoot kangaroos.
Yeah.
And he's actually got this is a mine clearing vehicle.
Yeah, that's a support vehicle.
So let's see how he's doing on the research.
Yeah.
He's a year away.
Yeah.
More or less.
He won't
have kangaroo.
He probably won't have those fielded for the war in any great numbers. But he will probably have them going into 1914,
But it's not. I mean, I'm not sure about going light tanks as Canada. The allies, your allies, need some hard-hitting divisions.
Yeah,
it might be that he's intended to shift these over to heavier divisions later on. And these will pack quite a punch when he gets the mech in, when he gets some maybe a
cannon.
Some AT in.
Yeah, exactly. Because
self-propelled anti-tank.
Yeah, because he was at the medium caliber guns too, and researching that. I think that also gives you a tank. Yeah, you get a medium howitzer.
So that's an assault gun.
Yeah.
So this will be. I mean, this would be great against infantry. But
it will be.
So I'm guessing they're thinking that the South Africans can counter.
But I also think that you need to take that to get down to the better anti-tank gun. I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah, medium cannon, 75mm down here.
And apparently we are not far off to having UK and Ian in the studio to have a chat with him.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that is going to be.
So that's a question for me. How
looking
at the Commonwealth troops, because Ian has started to get infantry divisions into North Africa.
Yeah.
As we said, this is not something he prioritizes, but he's got some divisions ready to go here.
But I'm going to try and walk over and see if Ian is here.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see.
You might have me on camera. I don't think I have my camera plugged in because I'm on a new crap PC.
Well, hello, Ian. How are you?
Hello. I'm chilling.
You're chilling.
I'm chilling.
Yeah, we talked about this, that you are probably the player who got up the earliest to play in these games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am.
Yeah. When did you get up this morning?
I got up. I didn't really sleep. I had a midday nap instead. The game started at 2 a.m. my time.
Oh, okay, 2 a.m. your time. Well, Ian, we've been talking a bit about your build, your focus on Navy and Air as a single or solo player. UK, you can't really do everything all at once. But can you talk us through our plans and your hopes for help from your minor and Commonwealth troops?
So for me, the bigger things are that once France is dead and alive again, and has enough trains to be able to support it, I'm just going to give him basically all of my infantry that isn't on Gibraltar or the main or the home islands, and then it'll be his problem to micro. Not my problem. Don't kill my boys.
Yeah.
In terms of the miners, like tank or Canada and SAF are doing fairly standard. They're just doing tanks.
Yep.
SAF's doing heavies. Canada's doing mediums.
Okay.
And then Raj and Aussie are doing infantry. I'm not really expecting much in Africa from Raj and Aussie, but that's countered by the fact that I'm giving them almost nothing in Asia.
Yeah.
There will be no. I promise you, unless things are absolutely dire or strange, there will be no UK troops past Iran, kind of thing. Like we will be hanging out in the European theater.
Yeah, you will focus on Africa and Europe.
Yeah.
primarily. That's how are you going to do with Singapore? Are you annexing that, or are you letting
It is
just-
annexed already.
It is already annexed.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Should have looked.
No, that's all good. Yeah, it's annexed already. Aussie kind of wants to fight it,
Okay.
and it's like I personally don't think it's a great idea to fight it, just because without having with it, when they get annexed, you lose the capital supply hub, right? So
yeah.
I tend to think that if you annex it, it's not worth it.
But then again, Mattias is also kind of one of your attack dogs. He's always a very offensive player, so it's no surprise that he kind of wants to hold it.
Yeah, and so he kind of wants to, and it's like, well, you're on your own, but I'll give you air. I'll give you air if you want to try, but that's about all I can give you.
That's about it for it. I think Andreas maybe no, sorry, my mistake. We're looking here, but then again, how confident are you that you will hold North Africa against Ugis, Italy, and Gidon's Germany?
The Germany's kind of a wild card to me. I play against Ugis a lot in different servers too. So I kind of know what he's doing, I'm pretty sure. But so the Germany's a little bit of a wild card, but I think it should be pretty holdable because of the changes we've made with entrenchment and spies. I haven't tested, but it should be pretty holdable. And if it goes anything like their test runs, they should have an okay amount of units.
Okay.
And I know I have enough units to fill up the combat, so it should be okay.
Yeah, we're looking forward to see that, and we're drawing closer and closer to this war. And Magnus, do you have anything here?
Italian Navy, and how does he feel about air race against Germany?
Yeah, how do you feel about the air race against Germany and the Italian Navy?
The air race, the air race is the air race. Just losing for now. I'll hopefully win later. That's just how it is.
Okay, losing for now, but pulling it back later.
Well, he has what 100-ish.
Can neither confirm.
No.
Yeah, he has about 100 on air, and I have about like 70 on air, and that's just kind of how it is. He just has a lot more factories to do that with.
Yeah, but he has also had been on partial mob and war eco for a longer time than you have. So I mean, that's pretty standard.
And I kind of expect that. And I have a lot of production buffs, which kind of makes it a little more even. But we just will be behind. I started building air quite early as a bit of a counteracting force, but we'll see if it matters.
Yeah.
I'm a little shorter on troops than I would normally like, but that was just with accepting that I might have a little bit of air problems. Yeah.
Well, I mean, solo player UK, you can't do everything. You can't be everywhere at once. But will we? The Italy Navy, does it scare you in the Mediterranean, or do you feel confident that you can take it?
At the moment, unless he's changing something, I feel confident. So I have 100% intel on Italy. I can see absolutely everything they're doing. Yeah. At the moment, I feel confident. That being said, I won't actually be ready to fight him.
Okay.
For like a year now. About a year from now is when my navy will be done and out and refitting.
Okay.
So
cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us and speak to all the viewers. We have.
No worries.
Sorry.
Yeah. One last question in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, assuming that everything goes your way in North Africa, what's the plan after that?
Yeah. What's your plan after North Africa, provided that everything goes to plan?
So I have set a little bit of a hard deadline for the Allies. I think you guys know what the Soviets are doing, right?
Yep.
And with what the Soviets are doing, they don't have a lot of pushback power. And I'm quite worried about Germany hitting a critical mass of tanks. And if so, even if we land, we'll just get kicked out. So we have a very, very... I'm trying my hardest to push them towards... We have a hard deadline of that we need to be trying to land in mainland Europe at the beginning of 43. Otherwise, I don't know. Like, I'm imagining a scenario where we try to land in 44, and the Germans pull off all their tanks into Normandy. There's no way we hold it, and the Soviets aren't going to get enough land back that it will matter because they're mostly inf, right?
Yeah. That's our
kind of thought
understanding.
behind it. So that's probably that's kind of it, and that's why I told the Asian miners that they're just kind of on their own.
Okay.
They're kind of on their own. Come 43. It's good luck. Good luck. Hopefully the US helps you.
Keep calm, carry on, and hope for the
Yeah.
best. Okay, that's really interesting with a possible early D-Day. Thank you so much, Ian. I'm gonna let you get back to the game, and thank you so much for taking time to speak with us and the viewers. And best of luck to you.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Good luck.
Thank
Interesting interview.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, I got a few really things I really wanted to hear from Ian out of that. I think he should be less confident about the Commonwealth impact. As he said that he is relying on a lot from India or Australia, but I think that the South Africans will be in Egypt with a little bit too little, a little bit too late, and the Canadians will be there with divisions, which is good, but they will be quite light. So if the Germans manage a decent push on Egypt, that could be dangerous. On the other hand, I think he should be a bit more confident about his the air race with Germany, because yes, he has fewer factories on it right now. There's a few months to go before the war starts. But on the other hand, when you're looking at numbers of fighters, he's not that bad off.
No, he's not. He's not that bad off
at the moment. And I do think he's done. It's completely the right analysis of when they need to pull off a D-Day. They will need this early on, because the Soviets, good players, absolutely huge amount of garrison troops, but they have very little pushback. And the danger with a heavy garrison build, yes, they have Mongolian tanks, but at least for me, to be confident, I want a bit of a mix between divisions that can hold the front line, and if you manage that competently, it's hard to knock the Soviets out. On the other hand, it's good to have more mobile divisions that can go. They don't need to beat Axis armor, but they need to be able to go toe-to-toe, prevent encirclements, and if that Soviet line starts getting pushed back, it's very easy to get stressed. And garrison troops, even though they've become faster,
they're not fast enough.
No, they are terrifyingly slow. When you have Axis armor breaking through your lines, you need to pull back to the next defensive line. So I think that
it's easy to lose a couple of 100,000 men just in redirecting your forces.
On the other hand, the Axis might be starved for infantry on the Eastern Front. If we get just one or two lucky Soviet encirclements of Axis troop early on, it could be a really tough front line for the Axis as well. So I don't want to make any predictions on which way that will be leaning, but I looked, while we did the interview, I looked at German production and German tanks. They have now started to produce their tank divisions. They're getting out 11 of these early. These aren't great, but they will be refitted once Barb starts. I think that the Germans will have a very decent amount of armor. And there's nothing more dangerous in this game than German armor.
The thing is here for Gidon and Germany, it's not losing tanks in France and not losing tanks in North Africa. Then they will reach what Ian said, critical mass of tanks. And yes, we're going to have a chat with Badger later on the Soviets, or Peter, someone from there. But the pushback power isn't there in the Soviet build, as Ian said. But an early D-Day or a landing in Europe anywhere in 43, that's a tall ask, in my opinion. But if it works, I mean, then it's a play.
And if you can plan for it, it's something you should be able to manage. The big thing is that I don't think we will have US troops in Europe in 43. Not the way this build goes. They will want to knock the Japanese back before they really divert a lot of resources to Europe. The Japanese won't be sitting still.
No, they won't.
They will be pushing islands. As we know, they are very focused on grabbing the islands that gets their allies, or the Euro axis, a bonus in Europe.
And the debuffs for the allies.
Yes. And looking at the Balkan countries, we're not seeing that much infantry or hard hitting. The Romanians are getting out 30 with infantry. Good thing. And considering what the rest of the team is building, a good thing.
But it's November 38. There's no Balkan Bros troops. I mean, Romania has 5. Hungary has 1. So they need to start training again.
And they're supposed to be knocking up Poland in about 9 months.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's an AI Poland, they still have troops. But we have from Mike Mandalorian in the YouTube chat.
Do we have an AI Poland?
Yeah, we don't have a player in Poland.
How come he's named?
Or do we have? Maybe we have.
Yeah, look that up because.
Well, let's check.
I don't think the AI names his frontline.
Yeah, well, but that can come out automatically. But sure,
Might be.
Yeah, might be. I can check that later on. But from my understanding, the first intel was they have no player in Poland. But Mike the Mandalorian has asked, those light tanks will have a huge heart attack, or will they just be useless against German armor? We heard from Ian, it's going to be medium tanks. But we also have...
when is it going to be medium tanks?
I do not know, but we have Thomas from Germany in for an interview. So we're going to move over there. Hello, Thomas. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Yeah, great. Nice of you to pop in and have a chat with us here in the final year before the great fisticuffs commence.
Nice. Yeah, it's for my first time, so I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, that's good. You've played Co-op Germany a couple of times with varying results. How confident do you feel about the build? We saw that you will have soon 11 tanks out.
Yeah, I feel very confident about the build. Gidon is really strong on the macro part, and I think the team spirit within the Axis is very good.
Oh, lovely to hear that. We had before we went in here with you, we looked through the Balkan Bro countries. They are going infantry to support you guys, correct?
Yeah, mostly.
Mostly, yeah. Because we were a bit worried. I mean, Kerfuffle and Fisticuffs commence in about 9 months, but there are not that many Balkan Bro troops out as of yet. Will they be ready in time?
That's a good one.
Yep.
It will be close, and they intend to be there, but we can probably handle it ourselves.
Yeah, probably, but it's always nice to put someone on the spot and make them speak for players that's not there.
Yes.
But, yeah, that's kind of what we do. But as of the air war, you have a slight advantage as of now, as it looks. Do you feel confident with your build, with the air build and your tank build for this early parts of the war?
You're touching on a very interesting topic, air. We've seen concerning amounts of air on the Soviet Union as well, and we feel that might be an Achilles heel. But I think we found the Achilles heel of the other teams as well. So, the air war will be very interesting, I think.
What, in your opinion, is the Achilles heel for the other teams?
I think we can overwhelm Russia.
Okay, because you're going for an early barb, correct?
That I don't know. You should have Gidon knows.
Gidon knows you're along for the ride and happily killing Soviets on the Eastern Front. It doesn't matter if it's early or late or mid.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you've taken France, are you going to shift troops down to North Africa to help out Ugis and Italy, or are you building up for Barb and leaving Italy to handle it on his own?
Yeah, we will do that. We think we've done a good world tension game, and we are optimistic that there will not be a strong resistance in Egypt. And therefore we will definitely help there, and we intend to have a strong presence in North Africa.
Yeah, because you look at, when we just look at both teams are strong, but I mean, how important is it for you guys to also have a very strong stationary and Adam playing Japan? They are experienced Japan players. Is that something that calms you down and you feel like, okay, we don't have to worry that much about the Pacific part of things, so we can just focus on Europe?
Yeah, we're very glad to have stationary and Adam on Japan. I mean, we need them to be very strong to hold the Allies at bay, so we can overwhelm Russia early. And I think the Allies might panic and D-Day early. But if Japan has a strong presence, that Yeah, that would be great. And they appear to be. We don't have an attaché, but they appear to be doing well in China so far, or at least soon. So I hope equipment-wise they're doing well. I don't know yet how.
Yeah,
that's good.
we know, but we can't tell you in this instance. But Magnus, do you have any question for Thomas or?
I don't think so.
No, I kind of covered it all here. Thomas, I'm gonna. Yep. Okay.
Could I ask about?
Yep.
You're pushing out some panzer ships. Do you have any kind of comments on the Navy side? Is it just a raiding Navy?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that, but you're pushing up some panzer ships and so forth. Is it? Do you have any plan with the Navy, or is it mostly a raiding fleet that you're using?
It's flexible, so you saw that well. The Panzer ships I think are really good, and they are mostly. I want to use them, for example, to raid an invasion, or to support another invasion, or some tiles. I think to really distract and an attention-seeking navy. I called it, and so it's mostly raiding, and I want them to make the UK nervous, but not.
So you
really
want them
strike.
to hunt you and
Yes.
and be nervous. Okay.
Yes.
That's great. So just to make things clear here, when Navy happens for Germany, you're the Navy guy for Germany in this instance, Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. I mean, you're just going toe to toe with the Royal Navy. How big can that be? But I mean, I thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. I'm going to let you get back to your Navy and the preparations in for the war. And best of luck to you.
Thank you. Have fun on the cast, and thank you, viewers. Bye.
Well, thank you so much. Bye.
Interesting to hear, I think. Having that raiding Navy, that's something that can really make people nervous.
Yeah, but I must say, I kind of like the plan for where Germany is at, where you really have to prioritize hard. I think they've done a decent job here. You're never confident before the war starts where you're playing a major nation, but I do think that it might be a good prioritization. I should amend something I said. I said that the Axis might have an infantry starve on the Eastern Front. What the Germans have done is pump out a huge amount of quite bad, but a huge amount of garrison divisions.
Yep.
So there will be something on the front line.
Yep.
And then they're complementing that with these, I guess, to be heavy-hitting
and you just got the
armor divisions.
Yeah, but also Fallschirmjägers.
Yeah, and a sprinkling in a bit of Fallschirmjäger. I'm guessing that just to kind of disturb the enemy front line, dropping on supply hubs, things like that.
But there is something interesting here if we go back to the UK point of view that I want to see, that I just noticed. They have raids planned. Raids are incoming.
Yeah.
Yep, which is interesting. I think.
And it's on a mine in Hungary. Is this to...
Yeah, to starve them from. And I think they have one in Romania or Bulgaria also, if you zoom. Yeah, they have the old fields in Romania.
So this is because this region has a huge amount of the aluminum for the Axis.
Yep.
And down here, that's the oil.
That's the oil.
This will not arrest, but it will severely hamper airplane production.
Yeah, it will throw a wrench in the spanner, so to speak. And I have Crafting Ruby. I don't think it says this. I don't think a player in Poland would have troops against the Soviets.
Oh.
No, and I also checked. We do not have a Polish player.
You're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's good to check. And we have Mortal Vision also from Twitch with counter air with air and AA, or just blitz through the enemy lines. Don't care about the airplanes.
And basically, I think that's a bit what the Germans are doing here.
Yeah, they're aiming for that.
Sweet to see.
Yeah.
Why is this even? Because basically that's what the Germans will be doing. Just fill up the front lines with garrisons, blitz through with the tanks, and hope that works. And to be honest, I think that if Ian has good intel on the Germans, this is something he should be worried about, because as of now, we have very little anti-tank capability on the Allied side.
Yeah.
The South African tanks will be the best tanks on the board.
Yeah, they will.
When they go head-to-head. But there will be 1 or 2 divisions of those.
Yeah.
And I do think that this could be a very good, depending on how these Panzer divisions do, a very good German build. Let's see here how the template is. Right now, it's just motorized and assault guns. This will be transformed before Barb.
Yeah.
But basically what we have is a German garrison build with tanks.
Yeah.
Up against a French garrison build.
Yeah.
With some mountaineers. And a Soviet garrison build.
Yeah.
With even more mountaineers. We have a huge amount of garrisons on the board this game.
Yeah, it would be interesting to actually go in depth with the Soviet players. We will see if we can get one of them here before the lunch break, just to talk through that and see what they have.
And my thinking is that Johannes will probably, when he gets a better AT gun, at least I hope so, he will probably get that out. We also have heavy AA on production for the Soviets.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, but I think that it talked about that to have it both as countering the German air, but also using it as an anti-tank gun. Because it has a quite good piercing.
Let's see which divisions he's put these into.
I don't think he's put him. Maybe in. Did he put him in the MP division? Maybe. No, not yet.
Yes. Heavy anti-air. So these garrison divisions will have heavy anti-air.
What kind of piercing does that give them?
Right now, 23.
23
on paper.
Yeah, on paper. But it's not that much, but it's something. It's better than nothing.
It slows you down.
It does.
I mean, even if you can't pierce everything, it does slow it down. I mean, the fronts are different, but on the Eastern Front, that really gives you an edge. I like to have some AT power in my front line, or in my front line divisions, in my defensive divisions, just to, even if the enemy can break through, you get that extra bit of time to react, to contain the damage, and not have catastrophic surrounds. So I do think it's an interesting take. I haven't seen anyone, at least in our community, use heavy AA like that, and it's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, hence why I really would like to have a chat with Buddy before lunch, just to see how it, and also to hear how confident is he with this build.
But they will have.
That's a lot of planes.
Ton of manpower. They are ahead in the air race. Remember, a lot of these fighters are old. They will not be top of the line fighters. They will trade badly in air, but there's just such a huge amount of them.
Yeah.
That I think what could be hard for them is actually the Winter War, because their push divisions aren't great. I mean, you don't want necessarily heavy armor in Finland during the Winter War, but let's see how well these can push the Finnish divisions. Actually, because we won't have time to do that once the war starts. So break in, then I'll have a look at Finland.
Yeah, we have
Andreas. Finland.
We have a question from Wendy again. Is there a community rule regarding the earliest month in 1939 that Germany can launch a war against Poland? Yes, there is. And I believe that's in August, 1st of August, I think. So they can take the focus in July. I think it's a 35-day focus, something like that. But yes, there's a rule. So we know when it's coming, and it's coming close. It's coming really, really close. And then we will have the lunch break, but after lunch, a lot of things will kick off. We will have Poland, battle for France, battle for the Netherlands, Belgium, Norway, Denmark, North Africa. Also, the Winter War is something that will come up. So there's a lot of things happening all at once. We'll try to cover it the best we can, to the best of our abilities.
Swinging by Germany before we take a closer look at Finland. We can see Xavier Princip, this inner circle mechanic, and he's gone for Hess, Goebbels, and Todt. Which is interesting, because I do believe that Hess and Todt will disappear later on. I'm not sure if that happens, if that triggers when you... No, he won't lose Hess.
No.
Because when you take Hess, he doesn't fly to Scotland, which he did historically. But I do think that Todt dies.
Yeah, might be. We have also a rejoin, a crash. So we do a bit of a lobby simulator. So when we're looking at this, we're going to come back and look at Finland. Hopefully, we're also going to have Badger or Petey or Calle or someone from the Soviet Union before lunch to talk a bit with them. Which I think is going to be interesting to hear their plans and what they're aiming for, what they're waiting to achieve. But we all know that, or maybe we don't all know, but in our community, a lot comes down to what happens on the Eastern Front. And Ian, the UK player, said he was a bit worried. Can you understand that worry?
I can absolutely understand that worry because it's such a heavy garrison build.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, it's good to have a lot of air, but depending on how that, I'm not sure that will be super effective at stopping the German tanks. It will absolutely slow the Germans down. But even with the Mongolians, the Axis will have an advantage in armor.
Yeah.
They will also have some harder hitting infantry divisions from the Balkan countries. They will have some motorized divisions from Bulgaria, which means they can pride different points simultaneously. The Mongolians can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah, and the Mongolians, they're not that many.
Which means that I do think that the Soviets will be on the back foot. The question is, will they be pushed fast or slow? But considering that, I do think that Ian on UK is right in thinking that, okay, the big thing we need to do is we need to get boots on the ground in Europe early, to help the Soviets, take a bit of pressure off, and also before the Germans get too strong. Because if they have the opportunity to have one panzer army on the Eastern Front raging away and a second armored force just waiting for naval invasions in Western Europe and pushing them out. The thing is, if I was Ian here, I would try to get an early invasion, knowing that it might not win the war, but just getting a bit of ground in Spain or the Iberian Peninsula, hanging on to that, because that forces the Germans to reinforce from the Eastern Front. It's the arse end of Europe from where the Germans want to be. The terrain is horrible, the supply is horrible, and that means it's hard to kick the Allies out. Just take a bit of ground there, hold on to it, stress the Spanish, stress the Italians, stress the Germans, and then you buy yourself some time to get a decent D-Day, including the Americans, on the ground.
Yeah, but this also depends a lot on what will Seth do as Spain. Will he go volunteer or will he join? My bet is that is joining, actually.
Should we take Finland? I can have a look at Spain.
Yeah, we can take Finland if Andreas will leave it to you.
Yes, so Finland looks underprepared. So far they have a very small army. They are building it up, but it's tiny. They are currently not deploying any more troops, so they have a total of 18 divisions age. 7 of them are tiny and to the point of being illegal, which probably means that they're gonna fill them up with more troops, but currently they have only 6 withers, and the rest of them are also kind of, smallish. So we're talking 16 withers with just infantry and a single support company. They have been training these guys, so they have a good experience, but the moment they start actually stuffing them with equipment, that's of course going to fall behind. Speaking of equipment, they are not that high on equipment either. They have about a 2,000 surplus on guns, 2,000 surplus on horse, 3,000 surplus on squad weapons. This is sort of the numbers I want to go into the war with after I have kitted out my army. So something is slightly off with Finland here, actually. And if you compare that to the Soviets, who have amassed a force, not that great, but still of 12 full stack mountaineers, pretty good ones, full equipped, well trained, as well as 7 light tank divisions on the border. It's not a great army to invade Finland with, but it is currently much better than what Finland has. Of course, this can change, but they are low on time, so it's going to be a hard one. If you look at the intel screens, the Finns are protecting themselves, and they also building a network in Leningrad. I don't know if they've realized that they can't actually ruin planning anymore with spies. Unfortunately for them, Soviet is very low on spies as well. They have 2 people in prison, so they are not currently working on any more collabs. They are instead trying to rescue people from Helsinki.
Interesting take from there, which makes it very interesting to see if we could get an interview with someone from the Soviet side, because we are gearing up. We are in the end of May in 1939. I don't think there will be peace in our time here in this timeline. Or
I'm still hopeful.
I'm still hopeful. I mean, it's easier for us to cast this kind of slow.
No, but we can see the Spanish here. They're just expanding their trade, rebuilding the country. I do think I'm hopeful for a democratic movement in Spain. I think.
Around 1970 maybe.
On a more serious note, I had a look at Spain. It's too early to tell if they're going volunteer or if they are actually joining the Axis full on. It'll be a while before we can tell without just asking Seth on Spain. Maybe we could try and DM him and see which way he's going. I'm interested in that. But basically, for Spain right now, it's just about recovering from the Civil War. They still have
some debuffs there.
The huge debuff from recovering the Civil War. And we can see that he's started to expand his divisions. So basically, he's just building equipment, trying to recover, going down his focus tree, which will remove his debuffs. And he can't come in until... Is it after Francis capped or is it January 42?
I think it's somewhere around Barb actually that he can come in to see and see what he can.
Which means that he won't be doing anything in the war until 41 either way. But I would be surprised if Seth wants to sit this one out as volunteer Spain.
It doesn't feel like the Seth I'm used to.
Let's look at because just building convoys, that could have been one of the telltale signs if he's refitting his navy, if he's building submarines.
Exercising it up. I think we have reasons to come back to Spain and see what they're doing. Maybe we should have a check with, we've checked a bit with France, UK, Germany, and the Soviets. Maybe we should just check how are the Italians doing in this instance. Because
Italiani.
Ciao. Yeah. Oh, he's
refitting his navy.
He's refitting.
So you can see the focused modernization effort here, which is, I think, is ship refitting speed 25%. And this is a huge thing for the Italians. They start with a lot of ships, but they are old, they are quite crap, and they want to get them modernized. I think the UK is doing the same thing right now, just trying to get every last modernization done before the war breaks out and before the heavy fighting breaks out. The Italians won't join right away.
No.
They'll be waiting for a few months after the Germans declare war, and then we'll be joining in. We can see that. Let's get the strike fleet up here.
Yeah. See what happens. Oh, Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact also. Maybe there is peace in our time.
But he's refitting his navy.
Yeah.
And as we said, seems to be he's going out to torpedo cruiser.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you know what the good counter to torpedo cruiser or cruiser navy is.
It is a very good question. I'm very
glad. Is it
you asked.
carriers like everything else?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not the best at the Navy game, I should tell you. It's really interesting for me to see what people are doing on the Navy side, because I'm sitting here learning things.
Yeah.
But we can see that the Legion divisions are up towards the north of Italy. I guess they'll be going into France.
Yeah.
They will want to mop up Yugoslavia. They will want to mop up Greece, but we don't have players on those countries. It's a mopping up operation. And then once France is done, we will see fighting in North Africa.
We will.
And we can see if he's built up.
He's building it now.
Yeah, and he's building supply hubs in Cyrenaica.
Yep.
He's building it in these mountain tiles. This is a defensive move.
Yeah.
So if he is pushed from Tobruk, you can retreat into these mountains. This is a really hard position to shift as the Allies, because these are very defensible tiles, hills, mountain, hills. And the supply out here is horrible. So basically, if the Italians have built a defensive line there, what you have to do with the Allies is move up, build up your supply, get a supply hub built, and then you can start really pushing them out.
Yeah.
And it's something that takes a lot of equipment, it takes time, it takes manpower,
It does.
but that is a defensive move.
Yeah. We also have a question from the YouTube chat with Esteban Leclerus with, can you remind me what this mod is called? This mod is called Hygge. It's a version of their finest burp that famously the Bokoen gang is playing on. So it's a version of that our French player Remmefors is updating and keeping up to date and fixing everything so we can have these games and cost them to you. So that's the question for that, or the answer for that.
And it does seem that, sorry, getting back to the Mediterranean, it does seem that Ian on the UK is done refitting his forces. He's got a lot of submarines, he's got a lot of destroyers. and he's got task forces here that have more striking power. I think this is a strike fleet. You can see heavy cruisers, carriers, and this will be really. Here we have a bit of carriers, a bit of battleships. So this is actually quite a flexible navy, I would say.
It is.
I'm not sure how this will stack up against the Italians, but really interesting to see if they go toe-to-toe, if they kind of wait each other out.
Yeah, as Ian said, he doesn't feel comfortable taking on the Italian Navy up until about a year in.
Yeah, and the thing is, he doesn't really need to, unless the Italians go... What he doesn't want is them breaking out of the Mediterranean. So he'll want to keep Gibraltar here. You can see he's stacking up with these beefy garrison divisions, 30 width. These are good, and these are hard to shift.
They are.
And I would say that you need air power for this. So one thing we see a lot is the Italians coming into North Africa, try and grab an airport before this all goes to Vichy France.
Yeah.
So they can have air cover over Gibraltar. Actually, on that, let's see how the Germans are doing on tax. Because you'll need German tactical bombers to bomb that away. And they have 700. I'm guessing these are mostly older variants. But when you have air superiority, they get the job done.
Yeah.
So Ian will try and keep that. He'll try and keep hold of Malta, Cyprus, and Egypt. And I think a lot of this actually hangs on, can the German tanks put a viable threat against Egypt?
Yeah.
A lot of the early game, because Egypt in itself isn't really that decisive, but oftentimes the one to win the war in North Africa, that gives you an advantage later in the game because it kind of pushes the Allies back, it gets them disorganized, they might lose divisions. On the other hand, if they manage to keep hold of Africa, clear the Italians out in a decent amount of time, you're starting to get threatened as your axis.
Yeah. And especially if you have what Ian is aiming for, 43 landing. If you have North Africa, you have all the possibilities to land almost
I'm
everywhere.
a bit questioning to which divisions will be landing.
Well, Commonwealth troops, I'm guessing.
Well, he'll need more of them. Or if he can devote resources to, which he might do if the Germans don't go that heavy into air, he might be able to divert some resources and to get some more infantry, just because I think they can get ashore.
Yeah, they can. But can they hold?
Yes.
And can they push?
Yes.
Or maybe just get ashore, hold, and see that Gidon shifts his troops or his tanks. But then again, there's not that much punching power from the Soviets.
No.
Or maybe there is. We don't know.
I think there's a lot of staying power,
There's a lot of
but
staying
not a
power.
lot of punching power.
No.
So this whole game boils down to Mongolia and Rosen's armor divisions.
Yeah, basically so. On the Eastern Front, at least. Or maybe stationary and Adam pulls off some amazing move and lands in Los Angeles. Or maybe we have Xnistan Francis who lands in Tokyo. We'll see. This is...
Let's see if he starts building the 34s.
Or is he doing motorized?
Is he just doing motorized divisions?
That's...
Okay, so
There's a lot of...
the Soviets are fielding more of these light tank divisions. I'm not sure if they're going to fill these up with
We'll see.
T-34s later on. T-87, T-26s, or if they're just going to go for lights.
For lights. I think we actually have Badger in the studio. So I'm going to put on my little interviewing headset. And say hello.
And say hello, Badger.
Hello.
How are things?
It's going pretty well. I mean, it's quite chill to be the Soviets early game.
It is, isn't it? We wanted to talk a little bit about your build. Can you talk us through that?
Yes, sure. So it's something different, one might say. So the idea is to basically do an org wall with a lot of really crappy infantry, but that still have above 50% piercing. So it's 20 with the garrison with a heavy AA to get the piercing and a pioneer to get the entrenchment. So that's like the chunk of half my IC going into that basically. And then it's an air build on top of that. So a lot of fighters, a lot of CAS. So I intend to at least have a 50-50 challenge with the Germans in the air. So my CAS can do the work. And then as like a flexible reserve, it's a very like ghetto tank build. So light tanks with the latest kind of mobile anti-tank guns for piercing.
Okay.
So that's like So it's a slowly dying kind of build.
A slowly dying kind of build, as you usually do on the Eastern Front. We actually have a question from chat here, from Twitch chat, from Slimuk. Has anything surprised you so far, or have you spotted anything unusual so far in the game?
I mean, I haven't been able to scout the Germans. They still have I don't have intel on them, thanks to the MIFO bills. But I was a little bit surprised early on that the Italians didn't build any airplanes, but I can see that they do now. So, I mean, I've been sitting in my bubble enjoying myself, so I haven't picked that much up, to be honest.
It's not often you hear a Soviet player well, before launch, it's usually I've been sitting in my bubble. This is all fine and good. I'm happy with that. But then things start to happen. And we had a question here from us in the studio. Do you feel you have the punching power to win the Winter War with your build?
That's a very big if. I don't know, to be honest. Like I'm not prioritizing that. So I got some of my 8 of my light tanks out now. And I have some mountaineers, but they are all early equipment, so they're not good. So I hope to be able to win the Winter War, but it's not the end of the world if I don't.
No, it's not. We also saw that you did a sneaky escalate the border incident with Japan when China came, which me and Magnus here as Eastern Front veterans just loved to see that come in clutch when they're occupied it. But
it was like an opportunity opened, so why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you take all the opportunities you can take. We also have this, I mean, the org war and the slow death wall. I mean, it's a really interesting build, and the piercing makes it really interesting. But do you fear that you might lack the punching back power? Are you handling all that over to the allies to come in and relieve some pressure from you? But how are you going to punch them back?
Yes. So I mean the idea is to have roughly when the war starts roughly 20 light tanks, and they will be divided between Petey and Calle. So they will have 8 each at a time to fight with, 2 fours. So they will be able to soak up 2 attacks, 1 each, and then we will have the Mongolians doing a dual purpose motorized build. Okay. So they will be the same thing kind of. So the idea is to be able to pick up 3 attacks at the same time. And just hit them on the nose and slowly let the front line survive to avoid being encircled. That's the play. And if we're only being attacked at 2 places, one of them will be able to reinforce the other. And then I will try to, with my micro, I will try to just neglect the Finns to do anything.
Cool. That's really interesting, and it will be really fun to see it play out. We also have from Slimuk in chat who asked the question with, thank you for answering the question, and it's really cool seeing you play from Slimuk, so you take that to heart. Also, there's something that first of all, don't lose the studio division. We will be heartbroken if that happens. But secondly, you are kind of the Navy player. Will we see any Navy shenanigans from the Soviet Union, or is it just the org wall this time?
I'm sorry to say for everyone who loves the Navy out there, I've had too much to do in my private life recently. So I've done 2 dry runs in total, and I haven't played Soviet for 3 years. So the Navy is not that prioritized. So I've done some refitting for escorts on the northern side, and then I will be doing some shore bombardment. But that's about it. I will try to get the land lease coming in. That's the priority. So sorry, no fun Navy stuff.
No fun Navy stuff, but a very interesting org wall that you put up. I'm just going to check with Magnus. Do you have any question for Badger here before we let him go back?
No, I think you can let him go.
I can let you go, Badger. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak with us and talk to our viewers. And best of luck on the Eastern Front and in the Winter War.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See you guys.
Glory of the studio.
Yeah.
So that is the current situation with the Pacific.
Det är fortfarande ljuset. Även Andreas har inte.
So if you keep looking at Dominion of India, here are also, well, not very much going on. We have a tiny force out, and it's not that impressive yet. We will hope to see some interesting action here, of course. And they are focused on, oh, it lagged. Well, they're essentially just focused on building up their infantry, so we currently don't really have any good idea on what's going to happen here. So that's the uninteresting part. Let's go back to the interesting parts.
It seems like we had a bit of a cyber attack here from the Soviets, but we do think we're back with sound this time, and it's good to have people pondering the orb in chat, just to try and get the information out there. Thank you.
Yeah. Sound is back on, which is nice to see. And Slimuk, we missed your beautiful voices. I don't know how beautiful our voices are, but thank you so much for that. And apologies for the sound coming away. But yeah.
We are headed for the lunch break. We are at 31st of August, 39. I do think that the Germans are matching up. They have actually declared on the Polish, so the World War has started, which means we will be going into a quick lunch. But I just want to debrief the Soviet interview if we can, because I think that it was once again an interesting interview.
Yeah,
it straightened out some of my question marks and brought in a few more. So as Johannes said, they are trying to push out 20 light tank divisions, and I think I can bring them up on screen for you. They have two different variants of them, but they're basically the same. So we can see that right now they're light tanks and motorized. They will be bringing in AT, self-propelled, to try and get a bit of piercing. And it does solve one of the problems that we talked about before with the garrison build, that it's hard to get kind of this mobile response force, because it's great to have something that's thick and heavy on the line, or just gravel or a meat shield on the line. But it works best in conjunction with really mobile divisions that can show up fast, that can go head to head with enemy armor. It doesn't necessarily have to win. Just keep them stressed, slow them down, make sure that you have time to pull back and pull out of encirclements. And it will fill that slot. The question is, because Germany is going quite, I'm guessing from what I see, they have 12 armor divisions now. I think that will go up, and they will be better once they start BARP. They will have about as many light tank divisions as the Germans have medium armor. And a medium German armor division is one of the most dangerous things in the game. So I think that it's a really good thinking here from the Soviet team. I'm not sure that if it's enough. Kudos for an interesting build.
It's really.
I think it's hard to call.
Hard to call. He was a bit worried about the Winter War and the pushing power from it.
Yeah.
But then again, losing the Winter War is not really the worst for the Soviets to lose. It's worse for Finland with the path they're going. And we also have this. We have a lunch break up until 2 o'clock. So we have actually 46 minutes to get something in our stomachs. But before we go on that break, I wonder, when war now has started, I wonder, what is the mood in the UK? I don't know if we have any live pictures from that, but it would be interesting to see what's happening in the UK.
Stirring images from the United Kingdom.
Yeah, really, really startling. But also nice to see the keep calm, carry on, just switching over and going straight to war. I think that says something about the British spirit.
Stiff up a lip, boys.
Stiff up a lip, keep calm, carry on. And with that, we are going to take a lunch break. We will be back a little bit before 2 o'clock with all the action from all the theaters. Thank you so much for hanging with us on the start of this day, and a lot more to come.
This is where the action starts.
Yeah, we see you in a bit.